I must say. We can't hide it. I know the man, and he was a man on time. He's a man that believes whenever we're going to do something, he always report for duty on time. Not only that, he was always well dressed. A man of tremendous courage. I mean, he never shook his responsibility. A good friend, very jovial. Always enjoy going to his home and have my wine and my cake. You know, and we just had good fun together. I know myself and Daryl spoke about it on the other program on Cairo FM. And I also did a program, I'm also doing a program with him, which is called Constructive Talk. But when a hero is fallen, we must continue. And two of his great friends, his great admirers, was he enjoyed working with Rosie Douglas. What a great man for him, Rosie was. And of course, the President Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerritt. Oh, he loved those guys with a passion. But one thing, he was a no-nonsense man. He reported the Prime Minister, or the Chief Minister at the time, who was breaking traffic rule.
He was the Premier at the time.
Premier,
Ioli Blah.
Right? He gave him a ticket, he stopped him. And then there was another incident where he arrested his own father for breaking the law. He warned him about defective tires, and the father insisted coming with the truck into Roseau, and he arrested the truck. He arrested his father. He charged his father.
As a matter of fact, I had him on the Lakou program some months ago. Very intriguing interview, very polite interview, I should also say. He gave us all about himself, Peter Sogo Fly Thomas, and he even gave us the reason why he got the name Sogo Fly.
Of course, it was the great Calypsonian caterer, because there was a place where, you know, people used to go and have their drinks and eat pilau, and he was always there.
Oh, Sogo Fly, why you arrest me?
Right.
You put me in prison.
That was a great song.
Yes.
So, a great man, a man I will miss tremendously because of his courage, his time management, his commitment to duty. You know, he was a great friend of mine, and I will surely miss him.
Well, tonight, Brian, we're going to be having with us Johnny Henry. This is his song, Johnny Henry.
Sorti un petit kaila, chayeglo kote basido, pleasure day, Lakou.
The Discovery's Lakou experience on DBS Radio welcomes Virgin Lane born and bred Johnny Henry. Join us this Sunday at 7 p.m. with host Cecil Joseph and his co-host Hatley Adams. Johnny Henry will tell his story about growing up in a two-room wooden house together with 7 of his siblings. Many of you may know or remember that house on Virgin Lane. A national footballer back in his day and an avid sportsman who also played Sunday League football in the United Kingdom. Johnny Henry is back home after spending 26 years in the UK. Listen to DBS Radio and view on Facebook and YouTube. Sunday at 7 p.m. Johnny Henry on Discoveries.
Building Kabwe was an important part of my life growing up on Virgin Lane. Every one of us, even Cecil built Kabwe too. Sometimes we used to take hose and curl it up and put a plug at the ends and join them together. That would be the set. We also did a lot of kite flying in Park. I call Park St. Martin's Schoolyard. Park was probably one of my original playgrounds.
Enjoy the Discoveries experience.
Well, just want to say good evening, Hatley again, and to all the viewers and listeners. We are actually on Facebook and YouTube. For those of you who are still wondering, yes, we are on Facebook and on YouTube this evening, and also on DBS Radio, the nation station. Good evening to you, Johnny Henry. Good evening.
Good evening, Cecil. Good evening, Hatley.
Good evening, my brother Johnny.
Good evening to the listeners in Radio Land, and especially to my siblings and to my wife. I know she's listening attentively. Good evening to everybody.
And I'm so happy, Johnny, that you could have made it, to the Lakou program. And I just want to say to Sisi, your sister, who felt that it was of great importance that I should have Johnny Henry who understands, the Lakou, who lived in the Lakou, who behaved like a child of the Lakou. And so tonight here, Johnny Henry is with all of us, viewers and the listeners, to give his Lakou story. Johnny.
Yes. I was born on the 6th of September, 64, on Virgin Lane in that house. And growing up, in my early days growing up, there were probably 3 main Lakous in the Virgin Lane area. The first one, which was probably right beside our house or one house away from mine, was what I learned recently was called Lakou Zawai, Orange Yard, and that is the Lakou from the
King George V Street,
from Virgin Lane going on to King George V Street to immigration. Yes, but that Lakou also had a split lower down towards King George Street, split in two. So there were 2 entrances on King George V Street and one on Virgin Lane. So you could access that Lakou on 2 places, from one near Jesse, where this realm is now.
Yes,
I think, and the other one was right near immigration office.
And Jessie was a bad lady in those days, boy.
Indeed.
You couldn't get into Jessie's Lakou. She was the elite of the area, so it was not easy to get to Jessie's big yard and to even pick her mangoes.
Appears and so, but as we got older, we were able to jump the wall and escape. Yes.
So you did that, Johnny? You jumped Jessie's wall?
Oh yes.
At that time, Jessie dog was dead, right?
Jessie, well, after a while, we became less scared of Jessie, put it that way. And
she got older, right?
She got older. Not just that, we grew up, and you see, when you're little, you see the height of the wall, you figure, boy, this is so deep, you know what I mean? Yeah, but as we grew older, we were able to scamper up and down the wall quite quickly, that Jessie couldn't even see us when she came in, you know what I mean?
And it's strange, Johnny, that in that area where Jessie lived, at the back of her house, that yard was very huge. So those of us who would have gone into the yard, it was so clear that Jessie could see us from any distance, from any angle.
Indeed. I remember they played badminton in that yard quite a lot, to be honest with you. It was such a big yard, they were big enough to play badminton. They had a badminton court in there. From an early age,
And to this evidence in terms of we have the realm being built there today.
Mm-hmm.
That where the realm is actually, all that was Jessie's yard.
Indeed.
And at the front had this big, huge veranda house, upstairs and downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
And Jessie alone lived in that house.
Indeed. Yeah, Jessie Garraway. Yeah.
Now, let's go now to your life in Virgin Lane. I need you to tell us about your siblings, the number of siblings and the names, and your mother and father, the names of your mother and father.
Okay.
And we can take it from there.
All right. My mom's name was officially Teresa Henry. I think my mom was from La Plaine, but she grew up, if my memory serves me right, or if my information is correct, I think she grew up at Newtown. My dad's name officially is Camillus Vincent Henry. My father was a musician, and he was very fluent with the trumpet and the guitar. As a matter of fact, I was sent to 3 different guitar teachers. I still end up in Windsor Park. That doesn't mean I cannot play a song on the guitar. I can probably still play a song on the guitar, but since my father died, I never really practiced the guitar anymore. I stopped, to be honest with you. But my bigger brother Addison took it on. Anyway, my mother had 9 of us. I was number 6, and my father had 10 of us, and I was number 7. Right, yeah. And I don't recall Rudolph growing up with us on Virgin Lane as a child. I must admit, I don't recall that. To me, my earliest memory is that Rudolph was at Portersville with Mrs. August. The remainder of us, I'm talking about my mother's children, were on Virgin Lane. And so I grew up on Virgin Lane with my 7 other siblings. And the truth is, according to my mother, I was the most troublesome child she's ever seen, or she's ever had. So much so that when my mother had to go to market on a Saturday morning, she would tie me to the foot of the bed. You understand? And the others were big enough to be clever to untie me when she's gone. As soon as she bent the corner down by later, I go down the Constitution Hill, my siblings untied me, the bigger ones untied me. And so a guard is posted in the window to make sure when mommy is coming, we know, so they can tie me back. You know what I mean? That's how troublesome I was, yeah. So I was the only one of all my mom's kids that was tied. on a Saturday morning to the foot of the bed.
So you said that there were 9 of you all who grew up in the house.
Yes.
In our promo, we have been saying about you lived in a 2-room house.
It was a 2-room house, Cecil.
So help us to understand that. 9 of you all.
Well, let's say 8 of us. 8 of us slept there. Rudolph didn't sleep there. I don't recall Rudolph sleeping there at all. There were 8 of us sleeping there. All right, and so 2 rooms. One was a bedroom, my parents' bedroom, but we all slept around the bed as well. So some of us slept around the bed, and some of us slept in what we call the drawing room, the living room. Yeah, at night we lay out our bed in there like normal. That was, to me, that was just normal for all kids in the town, in Roseau and Virginia. We lay up your bed in. And so for those of us who wet bed, I think they were Macintoshes. You know what Macintosh is? Like a
plastic
kind of leatherette kind of something. Yeah. Yes. So for those of us who wet bed, there was Macintosh, so it wasn't major issue. And one thing, my mom did almost everything for us at that age. She didn't even allow us to go wash the bedding, the pee-pee bedding, you know. I mean, I don't remember that at all. I remember she just do it herself, you know. My mother did everything for us, boss, everything. And you can see it spoiled us a bit, at least me a bit, but in the end, we appreciated it and thing, you know what I mean? And we showed all the appreciation we could when we grew up, you know what I mean? But yeah, no, the other thing, we will... I sometimes ask myself, I wonder how many other youngsters or families did that in Roseau and Dominica. Yes, I said we grew up in a serious Catholic family.
Before you go to the Catholic family, because we are going to come to that, I was asking you about your mother and your father and your siblings, and I would like you to describe, you know, how you lived in that 2-room house. First
of all, there was a lot of love, yeah. And remember, also too, we had a yard. So Jesse had the house, but the house had a yard. So we would play in the yard, and the house had a cellar as well. So we had a cellar, a sheltered playground. The cellar was like a sheltered playground. We played marble hole under there. We played nuts. Our friends would come and join us. And it was although there was a bicard, you know what I mean, a fence. So you know what the bicard is, isn't it? There was a bicard, and so. But the other neighbors would come in and play marble only for Sammy and Gilbert next door, Steve next door, you know what I mean? Those were Koi, all of them would come play under the house with us, you know what I mean? And and we all played together, the siblings, all of us played. You see them there? We all played together. We played with each other. We had the numbers. We didn't have to really go on the street to play, really. We played with each other in the yard and on the sidewalk outside. And as we grew up, our boundaries expanded and we went further afield. But initially, we played a lot in the backyard and in the cellar. And in the backyard, one of the things I remember doing quite a lot in the backyard was catching frogs. Because there were stones in the backyard, and through the backyard would always be moist and wet. We had tiny frogs there, and we used to catch a lot of frogs there under the stones and things. Yeah, so we played a lot, and we had a lot of love for each other. We played with each other. We found ways to play with each other, if it's with books or with toys. We were less fortunate, but we were not. I wouldn't say that we missed out on a lot in terms of our childhood and playing and toys and so. My mother's siblings made sure we were looked after. My grandfather on Fields Lane.
We'll go to your grandfather in a while.
But he'd make sure we were looked after, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
So Johnny, I want to understand, you know, in that 2-room house, you said one was the drawing room and the other was the sleeping room.
Yes.
And some of you would sleep in the drawing room.
Yes.
And the others will sleep in the living room.
And in the passage, yes.
And in the passage.
Yeah, in the passage.
Give us an understanding as to where the boys slept, where the girls slept, and why you think that happened.
If my memory served me right, I slept in the living room, and to the right and left of me was probably most likely Marilyn and Joan, my sisters, and probably Elaine. If my memory serves me right, Addison slept in the passageway. And the remainder slept in the bedroom with my parents, which was with Elaine, Sibyl, Sissy, and James. Yeah.
So the bigger you are, you would have got an opportunity to sleep in
the front room. Yeah.
In the front room. That's amazing, right?
You get promoted. For some strange reason, I remember sleeping in the front room though, between Marilyn and Joan, I think. Yeah, I think Marilyn was on one side, Joan was on the other side. Yeah, and there would be probably a fourth person there. Maybe Eileen, I can't remember exactly, but some slept in the front room. One person slept in the passageway, which is leading from the front room to the bedroom, and the others slept around the foot of the bed. Yeah.
Now I'm going to show you this picture. You can help us to understand who these people are.
Right. So I am looking at the picture. So to the left of my father would be Joan, and then
that's your first sister.
That's my first sister, my mother. Daddy had a first daughter, Rufina, and she visited us. She never slept with us, but she was always home anyway. So that's Joan, my mother's first daughter, and that's my father's second daughter. To the left of Joan is Marilyn. Yeah, and coming down from Marilyn, I'm seeing there that looks like Sissy with that kind of pose there. Sissy to the right of Sissy, which is kind of sitting, would be Elaine, and then my mother is sitting there. Then besides my mother to the left is Addison, and that's me with my hands in my pocket and my lips kind of pop. Yeah, and that's Rudolph behind me. And to the front standing, you got Sybil and you've got James or Junior. We call him at the time. Referred to him as Junior because he was a junior. Yeah. So you got Junior, Sybil, Sissy, myself, Elaine, Addison, Marilyn, Joan, Rudolph. That was my mother's 8 children. And before that, before Joan or before Rudolph was the first child of my mom, my father's second child. Before that, we had Rufina, who was a big sister. So recently, she passed away a couple of years ago. Yeah.
No, Johnny, you all, as you said, lived in that small house, but underneath that house, like many other places or many other families, they had a cellar, and you said that you all used this cellar more or less to play games.
Oh yes.
Give us that understanding of how, because I think now you are an architect. Is that correct?
No, I'm a land surveyor. I'm land surveyor. Yeah.
Okay, land surveyor.
Okay.
And you can give us an idea as to what the size of the house was.
Okay. All right. The northern side of Virgin Lane is basically sloping down. Yeah. So the house was kind of built on a split level. So you, at road level, you come horizontal from road level. Which means you got about 8-9 feet between the ground level and the flooring. You understand what I'm trying to say? Imagine the land sloping down, but you built from the road level horizontal. By the time the house was at the most probably 15 feet, 20 feet long, if all that, you know what I mean?
I think 20 feet is exaggerated.
I'm just... I'm sure I reckon about 15 feet.
People who are listening might
about
be saying
12, 15 feet, yeah.
Right.
So at the end of that, you got this, I would say there was about a 8-foot drop. Probably even more. So that's how steep it was sloping. So which means we didn't have to be bending down to go in the cellar. Our parents could stand in the cellar, you know what I mean? That's how high the ground level from the floor level was. Yes.
And you would have had many other folks come in and play with you.
Yes, our neighbors immediately. So we had Jasmine and Baba and Juliet, and so which was to the west of us. Yeah, immediately to the west of us. Also, you had Steve and Tessa. Yeah, and to the east.
Talk about Agathe. When you say Steve and Tessa,
my boy, I didn't want to say Agathe, because yeah, but it's Steve. Steve Bellot, yes, Agathe. He grew up with me from. I know myself growing up. Steve was there. Sammy and Gilbert were to the east of us. Yeah, you remember Sammy and Gilbert Garraway?
Yes, Garraway, yes.
Right, they were to east of us.
And we could almost say that Sammy and Gilbert had a different. I don't use the word upbringing, but they had a different economic status than yours.
Well, you can say that, yeah, because at the time, they had some real big siblings that were working, so they probably contribute more to the house, and it was a slightly different situation for them. But you know what? We grew up together, right, boss? Because we didn't know them differences there. You understand? We didn't know the differences. We didn't realize there's differences there. And also, too, one of the things that happened in my neighborhood, as growing up, is that my mother cooks, she shares with Magana, which is Sam and their mother. Magana cooks, she shares with my mother. My mother shares with Agathe. You hear what I'm trying to say? And Sylvie, and with Rufy, my auntie across the road as well. Rufy lived across the road as well in Virgin Lane. Rufy is Jeff's mom. Yeah, Jeff Pond, yeah. So Although Ruthie was my mother's aunt, they were almost of same age, so they grew up together and thing. Yeah, so they didn't miss each other. As a matter of fact, I have a feeling they follow each other in death. Trust me.
No, Johnny. Yes, you had your siblings, but yes, you had many friends. You had the Koi, the Peter,
Yes.
Abraham. You had the Packets.
Indeed.
You know, and those guys. You can tell us a little bit more of that yard with your friends.
Okay, so first yard was Lakou Zawai. You had also Ruben Edwards, yeah, in Lakou Zawai. Also, if you go lower down, you had these people in Lakou Zawai only became more prominent in my life as I got older. So let us not go down Lakou Zawai. Let us go in Virgin Lane, what is called Baghdad now. Where we call Baghdad. It's a short yard, and it used to be connected to Lakou Kaku, which is the bigger yard in Bath Road, yeah. And you had Jimmy Etienne, yeah. Jimmy lived in the yard. You also had Joel Shillingford, not so much Michelle, but Joel, and who else? Then you had Bingy Shattle and them, you know what I mean? So, but then you're also in the big yard on Bath Road, which is where you have a Lakou, which we call Lakou Kaku. It starts at just near Mikey Bruni's offices now on Virgin Lane. Goes up all the way to Bath Road, round to the convent. Yeah? And that is where most of the boys were.
You're saying that's where people like Peter Abraham,
Yes,
Koi,
yes, that's where
Rudy Jerome.
Yes,
that's where the guy
live. Tissue lived there as well. Tissue grew up with me as well, you know what I mean? Tissue, then you had Touching Down, but Touching was a bigger boy, but he was we kind of followed him, and he was like he had a set of tails behind me. Touching Down, you had also to Teebs, Glennie Bruni, Teebs in there as well. I'm just trying to remember some of the names there. Teebs, and you also had Clem. He's passed as well, Clem in there. So they were bigger than us, but we followed them. We played with them. They allowed us to play with them, and so played nuts, play marble with them, or they would give us a little call out now and then when we win them and thing. You know what I mean? But
no, you talk about Calot and so. I am sure that because you said earlier on that you were a very troublesome boy. What do you make out of troublesomeness?
Well, I didn't think I was troublesome. When people tell you you're troublesome, you just believe what they say, don't you? You know what I mean? I was just energetic, I think. You know what I mean? That's what it was. I was energetic. And maybe they hadn't seen such an energetic child before. That's all it was. You know? Or maybe they were giving me too much sweeties to eat. I don't know. But I had a lot of energy. And I ran and played a lot. And that's why my father couldn't get me to sit down to learn guitar from him. You understand? So he had to send me to other teachers because I just didn't have the patience to sit down and learn from him.
And so you would have seen your other friends got beaten by their parents?
Oh, I got beaten by my parents too, but yes.
Uh-huh.
But in comparison to the others, my father was a saint, Chad. My mother was a little terror, but my father was a saint. And even when my mother beat us, she didn't abuse us, to be honest with you. My queen had a special technique. She would flip us over on her knees and clamp our heads between her knee. So she got your backside all to herself. You understand? If you can imagine what I'm talking about. She flicks us over on our knees. We bend on our knees, bending towards her, and our heads are clamped in between her knees. So you can't go anywhere. She's got your backside. My mom didn't abuse her. She doesn't know her backside. Not know her back, or her face, smack her skin. At least not that. That's what I remembered. You know what I mean? She hit me on my backside. You know, and I get some serious pipe on my backside from my queen.
Why would your queen beat you?
Because I was a troublesome little boy.
What is meant by troublesome?
But imagine, Cecily, my mom used to say to me, Johnny, do you know that the teachers at school used to say that you're the only one who knows what aggressive means? Because they always describe me as being aggressive and so, you know what I mean? But that to me, I'm a product of the street on Virgin Lane. We all had to fight and rough up each other to survive. That was part of the growing up process on Virgin Lane. We fought a lot with each other. Yes, we played with each other and things. We still had to fight with each other and things, and then come back and make up in the afternoon. You know what I mean? That was just part and parcel of growing up on Virgin Lane. And I reckon that was practically common all over town, you know? Yeah.
No, in those days, boys would have gotten names Funny names, nicknames.
Yes.
AKA.
Yes.
What was your AKA?
My first AKA, I remember being called Duffet. And that was because my grandmother lived on Bath Road. And so we spent a lot. My mom used to go help her do her things, her catering and so on. So I spent a lot of time at Bath Road. And my early, say from about 5, 6, 7 years old, I'm on Bath Road. I'm in the gardens. From the time I reach on Bath Road is in the gardens. I am right that section of Bath Road where Queen Mary Street, where the junction of Independence Street meets Bath Road, right around here.
At the gate.
At the gate there, right. That section right there on the gate. That was one of my really early playing grounds. And there I think I probably first learned to play cricket. And the first cricket coach or teacher was Bombay. He passed recently, may so rest in peace. And he, from the time he started seeing me playing my strokes, he gave me a name called Duffet, which I think it was some English cricketer. So he named me after the English cricketer. That was my first nickname. And then later on, probably when I was about 9, 10, touching down, Albert Simon started calling me Zoe Lappe because he finds my ears is sticking out. And that is the nickname that has stayed with me among the Virgin Lane boys, but they don't use Lappe in it. They just call me Zoe. But it's not nobody knows that. It's just among the Virgin Lane boys only. That was my nickname, Zoe Lappe.
Zoe Lappe.
Yeah, man. And that came from touching down. So
Rabbit Ears.
Rabbit Ears, yeah. That was my first nickname, and it's only lasting nickname. It's still something like a while ago. I just came from Virgin Lane and Donald passes and say Zoe. You know what I mean?
So you knew that someone who
I grew up with,
right,
yeah. Only people I grew up with who know that nickname, to be honest with you, yeah.
No, in the yard, in the Lakou journey, you would have find people living in certain conditions. No pipe borne water, no toilets. I mean,
we were the same. We were the same. And the truth is, we just my mom, the yard was such that at the back end of the yard against Jesse's wall, my mom had a little separation with her pan where the shit would be. Yeah, and every morning she goes to the river and empties it out and comes back. And that was religiously every bloody morning. My mom, so about 6 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock, takes that pan. If it's on her head, she puts it away, she puts it straight to the Baptist Bridge by Elrose up there, empties it out, washes it out, and back home.
People like you, the children, never went with her?
No, my mother didn't want us around them things. My queen had, yes, we were not well off here, but my queen had certain standards she maintained. You get what I'm trying to say? And for instance, when all the other kids were running on the street without pants, and so you must be mad, we would never be allowed to go on the street without pants, or even if a pants with hole in the backside. My mother would never allow that. That's just how she was, you know what I mean? She had certain standards she kept, you know, and so yes, we were kind of slightly in that where mommy never made sure that we didn't go on the street looking unkempt. You know what I mean? We always had shoes on our foot. I don't recall if we were on the street without shoes. Yeah, it's because we chose to take the shoes off and go on the street without shoes. And if my mother sees that, we probably would be in trouble anyway. You know what I mean? Because she would not allow these things. So she had little standards about her. You know what I mean? Yeah.
What about things like breakfast, supper?
The truth,
lunch.
I cannot in all honesty, say to people that I remember going hungry. Like I said to you, Daddy James made sure we had Auntie Aya, my grandmother that is, and my Uncle Eustace, Uncle Vivian. Yeah, they made sure we had. I don't recall we going hungry. Also, too, Mommy had some real stalwart friends like Mazabo.
You know, on Upper Lane. With the shop.
But before the shop was on Upper Lane, it was on Virgin Lane.
Yeah.
Yes. So Mazabu made sure my Jim had a credit account. You know what I mean?
Tell us a little bit about that credit account. It means that you went and your sisters would have gone and get the credit.
The messages, not the credit. The messages.
Those days we didn't know the word credit, right?
No. You went to make your you went to Quedi. You went to Quedi.
I went to make it, and my mommy would most likely write the list down for us of what she wants, and we'd take it to Mazabo. And that was the only place she had the credit. Nowhere, not in by Miss Mildred's shop. My mother, I don't recall my mother having credit by Miss Mildred's shop. My mother's credit account was by Mazabo.
Let's use the word Quedi.
Quiddy, yeah,
Yes,
Quiddy,
because
yeah.
people can relate to the word quiddy.
Yeah,
Credit is just a new word.
Yeah, when you were invented. Yeah, you went to Quiddy.
Even if it meant credit.
Yeah, credit. We Quiddy.
Everybody said quiddy.
Quiddy, yeah,
Yeah,
man, my
but
mother had a
Quiddy.
Quiddy
And
account.
Quiddy.
Of course, she had a
One
Quiddy
Quiddy.
account there.
Yes.
And she, for instance, should give if I were to go to Zabo to get stuff, she'd give me a written list. And I would just have to give it to Mazabo, you know what I mean? And Mazabo takes care of it, you know what I mean?
So Johnny, would you at that time when you go and get the quiddy, did you look to see who was coming in before you hand Mazabo
No,
the list?
no, there was no shame in that at the time, my boy. You mad, man. That was just a norm, That was a norm.
But I was ashamed.
Were you?
Yes, I was. I used to look to see
Who coming?
who is coming before I give my Zabo, because Zabo used to have a way of doing it, you know. Mama poko pay moi, like for you, because it's you, I come and give it to you. That's how Zabo used to do it.
Well, I cannot say we had that experience in Mazabo. Listen to me. Christmas time, Mazabo was one of our stops. All of us, my father would take us from the church. We would go. There's certain households my father would take us to. Mazabo was one of the stops before we stopped by Daddy James for the final stop on Fields Lane. Yeah. So there were certain houses also at Christmas time or Easter time that we would visit. Mazabo was one of them. So we were prominent. Mazabo was like another mother to us, you know, my boy. You know,
Well, for many people.
You know what I mean? So-
for many. I can imagine if Davina
I remember Davina listening, you know what I mean, and she remembers them thing there, you know what I mean.
Davina
Davina, and
laughing.
there was Iris as well.
There was Iris,
Iris,
you know.
yeah,
And
Iris.
had she had
Malcolm,
sons.
Jerry, and what's the other one name?
It was Malcolm, Jerry,
Neville.
and Neville.
Yeah,
Three of them, you know.
That was my mother, Bosch herself, boy.
And Davina going to vocational section. I remembered.
Davina
You
was
know, on
there.
the
So it
front-
was
on the- there was a porch.
And there was another person as well. There was Carol, the girl from Mount Prospect.
Oh yes, Carol Timothy.
Yes, there was
I
Carol.
saw her yesterday.
Yes, so there was three of them. There was Davina,
Yeah.
which was like Mazabo's daughter, and Iris was like Mazabo's daughter as well.
Yes.
And
And Carol.
Yes.
Yeah. And Iris would be at the front.
Yes.
Sometimes Carol would be the one doing the akras in the kitchen.
Yes.
You know,
Them
and
three
you
there,
used to go after you buy your bread. You have to go into the yard
to get
and
get
at the
the
back
okra.
of the kitchen to
Yeah,
get your
the
okra.
Yes.
You know, codfish
Indeed,
okra,
yeah.
whatever kind
And
of
that shop still running anyway.
That shop is still alive. So that shop is over 50 years old.
50. Listen to me, my boy. From the time I remember, my first school was Miss Burton School, my preschool. So from age 3, I am almost 60 now. So it's nearly, this place has been running for more than about 60 years already.
That's
you know what I mean?
correct.
That shop there.
That's correct.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So
So tell me, I still am looking out. I'm wanting to hear about your meals. I know that
we had 3 meals a day.
Yes.
No doubt of no. Yeah. Also too, I only remember my mother was a full-time housewife. Full-time. Up until, I would say, even after 1970, I started the academy at 76, and my mother was still a full-time mom, full-time housewife. You understand? My mother only started working, my knowledge, I knew my mother working at the Christian Brothers at the academy, in the SME.
Yes,
and that was probably from about probably after Hurricane David.
Yeah, maybe 1980.
About damn times, yeah. After Hurricane David, yeah.
Yes.
So all them times, so at that time, I'm 16, 17 years old, going on 17. My mother, in my time, my mother never worked. My mother was a full-time mom, full-time housewife. She did all the housework, no grumbling. Did it all. Having said that, we had our chores. One of my responsibilities, mine and Addison's, because truth is, Rudolph didn't grow up with us, as I say. So my responsibilities and Addison's were to make sure that all the barrels were full with water every morning or every evening, whenever we choose. But that was Addison's and my responsibility. My mother didn't have to ask us or tell us to go and fill the barrels. We just know, after a while, you just know that is your chore. If we make mommy come home and not full up jet, we're going to be in trouble, you know what I mean? We are going to be in trouble, so we had to do it, get it done. And the quicker we get it done, the better for us, so we had more time to play.
Going to wash by the river.
Yes.
How was it?
Oh, that was nice, because my mom went religiously to the river to wash our clothes, and maybe for other people as well, religiously every Saturday, and she took her trolley with her. When I say her trolley, all her children followed her to the river on a Saturday. And it wasn't only my mom, that was just a normal thing for Virginian people, rules of people. On a Saturday, the mother took her children to the river and washed her. So while mommy washing the clothes and thing, me, my brother, Well, them girls had to stay around her tail, yeah. But my Addison and myself and Jeff, we're on the power with the rest of the boys on Virgin Lane, or the rest of the boys whose mothers were there washing, and so, you know what I mean? And so I learned to swim on the power. You know, I can swim on the water better than I can swim above water.
So which means that when your mom would have gone to the river, everyone would have gone to the river, because I too had that experience.
Yeah, man.
My mother, when we lived in Fields Lane, should have had that big basin.
Oh, yes.
You know? This big white basin that you purchase at Nassif.
The enamel basin,
with this blue edge.
The enamel basin,
basin. and everyone had to hold her dress, the end of her dress. You remember that, Johnny?
Of course, I tell you, she had a trolley behind her. If I tell you, my mother had a trolley behind her, I mean, her children, like a mother duckling, had all the little ducklings following her, innit?
Yes.
That's what we were like, yeah.
And then when we arrive at the river, one of the things that they would have done is to take a stone and mark a big stone.
They have their spot, yeah.
Yes, to mark a big stone to ensure that the river doesn't rise on them while they're washing. So every minute they would watch that mark.
Yes. Especially if it's raining, yes.
Especially if it's raining.
And plum coming down. So anytime you see plums coming down, you know it's
raining somewhere.
Yeah.
And the water started to come brown.
Yeah.
It's raining somewhere in the heights, and they would prepare themselves to really wherever you are on the power, you hear them shouting your name loudly, so that you come and help them to ensure that they move quickly. You know, so many times we could have lost our parents.
Yes.
You know, because the river sometimes would just burst its bank and just be on our parents.
And sometimes it can come on you suddenly for sure.
Suddenly.
Yes.
Hot sun.
And the river can come down on you and you don't know, yeah. But these people who had the signs, and I learned that from early o'clock. We had to look for the plums. If the plum, all of a sudden plums start coming down, all of a sudden my mother would say to us, you know, you better be careful, look out for the plum. And not just my queen, the other people knew that as well. So every time you see things starts coming down in the river, because it doesn't just come down like that, there are signs. And the sign, one of the early signs with the plums and other things starting to come, and then after you see more debris coming down, and you know then the river is on its way down, and you had to make your way out of the river, yeah.
Now, Johnny, we will come back to the river aspect of it. I want to deal with you going to Miss Burton School, as you said earlier on. It seems as if you have a very good memory of you going to Miss Burton School.
Yeah.
And Miss Burton School was at the time on
Fields Lane.
On Fields Lane.
Yes, right next near my grandfather lived on Fields Lane.
Right.
Yeah. Daddy James lived on Fields Lane, and Daddy James was another porter in the Vatican, in the Catholic Church. Yeah. Daddy James was another stalwart of the Catholic Church, and so he used his influence to get Addison, myself, and Jeff into Miss Burton School. Jeff was our cousin, but Jeff we grew up like the three brothers anyway, yeah, at primary school level. So we grew up, yeah. And so at an early age, Daddy James got us to Miss Burton School. And I'll tell you some of the people I went to Miss Burton School with. First name that comes to my mind, Georgie Karam, Blanche Deputa, let me see, who else? Shit, there's some others, you know, but yeah, so Miss Burton School was not for ordinary people like myself, really and truly, because they were a certain the children of
elites.
I won't say elites.
The
businessmen. And
all right,
I won't say elite. I never say petty bourgeois because that's not true. I don't really like that term, to be honest with you. They were they were hard-working business people. You get what I'm trying to say? But to us, they were rich, but no, they weren't.
Now, what time they were rich?
Yeah, we thought
George Karam was a rich man. Blanche Deputa, father, Mr. Deputa.
Let me. Mary Jackson went there as well. Strange enough.
Mary?
Yeah, Mary Jackson went to Miss Burton School with us as well, and I reckon that must have been her dad's or her grandfather's influence.
Must be her grandfather's influence, for sure.
Yeah. But she went there with us as well. I'm trying to remember some more.
And it was not easy to get to Miss Burton School.
Well, I tell you, Miss Burton School was up level school. Miss Burton School was not ordinary school.
No time for trouble.
Oh, let's go on to teacher rules. All the others went to teacher rules.
Right across Miss
Burton. On Fields Lane.
Right across Miss Burton School on Fields Lane
was teacher
rules.
And teacher rules was the lower class one, isn't it?
Yes, teacher rules was for all the lower class. So there are many people that are grown men and women today will remember that they went to teacher rules.
Yeah, teacher rules was the one for the rest of us. Yeah, but Addison and I and Jeff went to Miss Burton School. Yes.
And so going to Miss Burton School, what did they taught you as a boy growing up?
Well, my memory of Miss Burton School was a lot of playing, but also to the slates, writing with slates. You remember slates?
Yes, of course. And slate pencil.
And also counting with beads. A lot of,
right, I was about to tell you on the slate had
a lot of beads, yeah, man.
Yes.
That is how I
different colors.
Yeah, different colors, and you counted and thing. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, Miss Button, I will never forget that, my man. Yeah, this was.
Yeah. When you talk about Miss Burton, people would like to know who was she? How was she? Was it a black woman? Was it a fair-skinned woman?
She was very high colored.
No, Miss Burton would have been my complexion. She had her sister.
Oh, her sister was
but Miss Burton would have been my complexion. And my impression, Miss Burton was a nice lady as far as I'm concerned. Miss Burton, I don't recall being abused at school. Yeah, and Miss Burton also had a teacher with her. So there was Miss Burton and Miss Vigilant, them two. Miss Vigilant probably just retired. Miss Vigilant lived at Bath Estate.
You talking about Mawen? What's it called, a Wen?
I do not know, but I just know as Miss.
The daughter of Mawen. She's a tall lady.
Yes.
Who could I forget her name, man?
Miss Vigilant, I knew her.
No, she's Miss Vigilant, but
she got married and changed her name. Yeah, but Miss Vigilant. She was a young girl then, but she and Miss Burton school. Miss Burton taught at the school.
It was Mawen's daughter.
And Miss Vigilant ended up. I think Miss Burton ended up leaving the school for Miss Vigilant when she passed away.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
she left the school for Miss Vigilant. Yeah, if my memory serves me right. Yeah.
Yes, and I think she's still. No, it's on Virgin Lane.
It's moved on Virgin Lane along. I think that's after Hurricane David.
Number of years after Hurricane David. It's on Virgin Lane for all of those years.
But initially,
and she actually the daughter of Mawen. I'm trying to remember the name. I'm sure someone's going to tell me her name, you know.
I think she married, what was it? A Wyke, I think she married, you know. I think it was a Wyke. She could be.
I think now she lives in Newtown now. Oh my God. But she lived, in those days, she lived in Bath Estate. I know she lives in Newtown in that big white house. How could I forget?
But let me tell you,
yes.
Having gone to Miss Burton School, one could describe it as a privileged private school.
Preschool. Preschool. It was kind of. Yeah, it was.
Her name, it just hit me now. Her name was Linda. We call her Linda. No, okay. I never know her as a Vigilant.
Miss Vigilant.
I only know her lady.
I always know her Miss Vigilant.
I only know her lady in her surname. Okay. I know she was the daughter of Mawen.
Yeah.
And we used to call her Linda.
Okay.
That was her name. Yes.
To me, she's always been Miss Vigilant. Even when she got married, she was Miss Vigilant. Yeah.
Yes. No. In Virgin Lane, let's talk a bit about your grandfather. Oh, but before we go to your grandfather, your father. You said that your father played guitar and trumpet.
Very well.
Was he part of the Swinging Stars band?
Not that I recall. I know I would say no, not to my knowledge, but I know that on carnival days, that carnival, whenever the Swinging Stars went, he would probably go and give them some play backup on the trumpet and so on. Just trumpet, yeah. But I knew my father was part of a band owned by George James, deceased George James, who died in the fire of '63. Yes, and they used to have a contract to go play in Antigua Carnival for a period of time until George died, really. Yeah, so that I remembered. And George James and my father were really, really close. And that fire that killed George James, and I say we, I mean in my family circle, we think that affected my father mentally. George James dying in that fire affected my father mentally. That is, we of that opinion in our family.
You would have a reason for saying that.
Yeah, because they were close. They were well. First of all, George James was Addison's godfather. Yeah, George James' wife Stella was my godmother, and that's because Stella and my mom worked together at the convent as maids, domestic maids. That's before Stella became a nurse. Yeah, and Daddy and George James were good brethren, you know, so much so they had a band together and they used to go and play different gigs. I guess they used to run their draft together, you know what I mean, like young men did in the day, you know what I mean. So Daddy and George James was really close, and like I say, we think that George James dying in that fire had an effect on my father mentally, that my father used to get mental breakdowns, you know.
What time of the year? Because you see,
well, to me primarily it's strange. It's only as an adult I started thinking back on them things, and to me, in my memory serves me right, Daddy would most often get sick around carnival time. So, for instance, my daddy would leave home nice and normal and go and play with Swinging Stars or whoever he goes to play with. When he comes back home, he's ill. He's not unwell, and we had to call Dr. Ray, and they had to take him to APU. You know what I mean? And he stayed there about 7 days a week, then come back home normal like nothing happened. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So what profession did your dad did at that time?
At the time, my father was a clerk. Well, I knew my father as a clerk at the lumber yard in Newtown initially for Shillingford. My father worked at Shillingford for many, many years, and I knew him as a clerk at the lumber yard in Newtown. And I reckon before it was the lumber yard, it was the cocoa yard, and before the cocoa yard, it was whatever before. And I reckon. So first of all, I think my dad was a policeman at one point, before my time that was. And after I think he must have gone and play a dance. And he ended up falling asleep on the job. He was at the guard in the governor house or whatever it was, and he fell asleep on the job, you know what I mean? And so he lost his work that way.
Wow.
And since that time, I reckon he started working at the Shillingfords.
I said wow because, I mean, here it is. There were rules and regulations.
Oh yeah.
In those days, and your dad as a police officer.
They catch my pop sleeping on the job.
They catch your father sleeping on the job, and he lost his job.
He lost his job for his discipline. You know what I mean?
Bryn, does that happen today?
Not really.
I don't know. I don't
think that happens. But that was the rule. You cannot sleep when you're supposed to be on duty.
Yeah, and he was at the guardhouse, you know what I mean? Right on the
Yes.
Right on the guardhouse.
They catch you. And not only that.
Where was your dad from?
I would say my father was a Rosa boy.
Yeah. But Cecil, the thing about it, when the supervisors, they always pass and check you. So if you're sleeping,
yeah, they catch my father.
They catch your father, and he had to go. That was the
I think I may be subject to correction, but from my knowledge, from that he went to Shillingford, and that's where he stayed for many, many years until I don't know. I don't know what happened then, because I remember one time he was working at Coca-Cola factory as well. Yeah, but you have to understand as well. Them times my father's mental state was a debilitating factor. You know what I mean? Discrimination. Oh, you're going to employ this madman to you know what I mean? Them kind of, you know what I mean? Come on, in our small society it was. But my father was more astute than his people anyway, so he kept his head up. And my father was a really bright man, you know what I mean? Yeah, which is really bright. And one of the things I remember about my father is the kind of handwriting my daddy had. My old man had a wicked kind of handwriting, you know? My father's an educated boy, you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's just that the mental illness kind of kept him back. And it had an effect on our upbringing, in the sense that it's probably because when I compare people who police officers together with him, or who worked at Shillingford together with him, and see where they ended up by the time I was 17, 18 years old, you know what I mean? I reckon were it not for that mental disease, Daddy would have had some prominent job at Shillingford or somewhere, you know what I mean? I reckon, yeah, but that's how it is, that's how life is, you know what I mean? So we've moved on from that. I think we've all made them proud anyway, so that's good, yeah.
And your let's go now to your grandparents.
Ooh, Daddy James.
But before we go to Daddy James, you had a grandmother who was very popular.
Oh, God.
Aya. Help us to get an understanding as to how many children Aya had.
Auntie Aya had, we call her Auntie, and the reason why we're the only grandchildren calls her Auntie, and you know why? Because remember I said to my mom had an aunt that they grew up like sisters. Yeah? They were about the same age. My aunt Aya's sister, but she and my mother was almost same age. And so Rufus.
So you said me Aya and Jeff's mother were two sisters?
Yeah, man. Yeah, two sisters. And so Jeff and Ingrid call it Auntie Aya Auntie, and we coming behind, we just call her Auntie Aya. But she was our grandmother, she was the aunt of our grandmother, and so that's how we call. All through my life I call my grandmother Auntie Aya, Auntie, and only the other children from the other siblings, my mother's siblings, called her Granny, because by that time, you know, that's what, you know, I mean, their parents taught them to call her. But we grew up calling my grandmother Auntie Aya.
No, tell us a little bit of Aya, where she lived.
Okay.
And the things that she did.
Auntie Aya lived in another Lakou as well, yeah?
Yes.
Right, and that Lakou was right about the junction of Independence Street and Bath Road by the Botanical Gardens there. Right inside that area there my grandmother lived. Yeah.
You're talking about by Pastor Rodney's church?
Somewhere in that area there, yeah. But yes, more towards Bath Road itself. No, Pastor Rodney's is more high on Queen Mary or Independence Street and so. But Auntie Aya lived in that yard there. And that is where I know my grandmother lived in all my life until she passed away in 1980. Now, Auntie Aya, my first recollections of Auntie Aya, even before she was really doing her catering and so, is that she worked at the Union Club. The Union Club is where the grotto for the home for the aged or homeless or aged is now on Queen Mary Street and Bath Road. Yes, that used to be the Union Club. It later became the grotto and so. But that's where I first remember my mother.
Are you talking about the Dominica Club?
It was called the Union Club, isn't it?
Dominica
Dominica Club is High Street.
Okay.
My grandmother worked was Union Club. That is
Okay.
behind the St. Martin's School.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Where the infirmary is now.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
That's where swinging stars used to be having a dance.
That was the grotto.
That's the grotto.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
that's
the grotto.
correct.
Yes.
Grotto,
And
yeah.
so, and that was part of our stomping ground as well, because my grandmother ran she practically ran the place, because the elites playing their tennis, so she had to make sure the courts were ready, and she looked after the barn, and so that is where I first really knew my grandmother working. And when the club closed down, then she decided doing her catering even more full time, and so, you know what I'm trying to say. But and that, Auntie I ran that place, and my early memories there in the yard was of being I was to be well, not I alone. Addison, Jeff, and I were ball boys. I mean, tender age, we were ball boys. We'd collect the boys for Fortune and for Mr. Boyd and for Mr. Issa. Fuet Issa, all the man played there. I remember Brinsey Charles. They played the tennis there. Yeah, and Mr. Boyd, Stanley Boyd was my first tennis teacher. You remember Stanley Boyd?
Of course.
Oh, yes,
He was
Chronicle.
my first tennis teacher, you know what I mean? And he was always willing to teach the kids who were doing, and Jeff Addison and I were not the only ball boys around, but because Auntie I worked there, we got a little more priority than the others and things, you know what I mean? So
Yes. And I know of Aya. When I went to St. Mary's Academy, Aya herself, was selling recess to many of us, and in those of us who could afford. But before that, Aya found herself boarding.
Oh, even while she was doing the catering and thing, and on that house in Bath Road, Auntie had boarding. Remember, there were only a handful of secondary schools in Dominica at the time, and most of them were in Roseau, innit? Yeah, so kids would come down. Initially, to me, it was mainly children of relatives, like my uncles, wives' children, or Auntie Aya's nephews or whatever, or some extended family, distant relation. They came, like, for instance, man like Hilary Costo is now a professor, or Uncle Cobby Thomas. A lot of people passed through Auntie Aya's house, and it became some really important people.
I'm sure you can tell us some of the names.
Well, Cobby Thomas, Uncle Cobby, Hilroy Thomas. I remember also even Irene Harry. I mean, she's married to Glenn Ducre, Irene and Maynard, and there was Maynard, and there was other one who ended up being a bank manager somewhere in Barbados, I think. Was Adrian Luis. But I think these guys were part of Auntie's extended family and thing. But a lot of people camped.
Eddie Elements.
See, those are coming more in my time, but
Yes.
more when I was at school.
Missy.
Yeah.
Missy now.
Missy, Eddie, Marcus, Colin, Letitia, all of them grew up by my grandmother. You know what I mean? They passed in that house and were part of the family. You know what I mean? And again, I know also these they know are part of the extended family. You get what I'm trying to, because they all have a sister that's my mother's grandchild, my grandmother's grandchild. Yeah, up in Lapland, and I would say my roots, or my mother's roots, are from Lapland. So a lot of them came from Lapland as well, But there were also a portion that came from Portsmouth, the last sticks from Portsmouth. Most of them passed through my grandmother's house. Mona, Cedric, Andrew, they came.
But how Johnny? How was that possible?
Auntie I set up a house that way. Auntie I had a boys. There was a boys' room and there was a girls' room, and she had bunkers. You get me? So 2 or 3 bunkers in the boys' room, so you had 6 boys in there. Yeah, and in the girls' room, and she just make it work, man. She made it work. Mind you, they were not all there at one time, so it's over a period of time. So after say Mina and Irene moves out, gets married, some others come down, you know what I mean? And so it was like a 5-year stint. Everybody had their 5-year stint for secondary school, and once you finish your 5-year stint, you go and work. Then some of them stayed there after they worked, to be honest with you. But after a while, they moved on. Who got married, who had get man, and who have woman. They go and live in their house or whatever the case may be. But no, I also too. What I remember as a youngster too. You remember Spartans, the football team?
Yes.
I mean,
we both played for Spartans.
Right, Spartans. That is where, at heart, me, John Henry, is a Spartanite. Nobody.
I too.
Nobody can take that away from me, Jack.
My first team I ever supported was Spartans.
I'm saying to you, Spartans till I die. You understand? That is the truth. That's all. But my man, listen. I used to go to church on a Sunday and pray, especially if it's in my day. Sometimes the Spartans versus Harlem was the biggest match in my youth growing up. Yeah, my primary school days. Spartans versus Harlem. If that Sunday rain is falling in my mind, I know we in trouble, you know. So I have to go and pray extra prayers, please, to help Spartans, because nobody could beat Harlem when it rained.
Get a little bit closer to the mic, or you can.
Nobody could beat Harlem when it rained. Nobody. In my experience growing up, say before I started playing competitively myself, say from up till about, say 1978, or probably even before that.
Even you talk about Harlem.
Nobody could beat Harlem when it rains. Not when it rains.
It was even longer.
When it rains, no one could beat them.
Yes.
Nobody.
Yeah, it's even longer.
I don't know if Hartley remember that. Hartley's been in Windsor Park.
Nobody beats Harlem when rain
falls.
No.
Nobody. So me, Johnny, on a Sunday, Harlem going to play Spartans. Boy, I had to go and pray for God to give Gary Ed a little extra strength in his hands.
Yes, Gary Ed was at the time the goalkeeper.
Philip Osford.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And Philip Osford was the defense.
No, she was a
goalkeeper.
If not Philip to go up in today's Gary.
Gary,
and I had to pray for them man to get special protection, boss.
with Monday Z in the defense.
Yeah, but we was in the defense.
And you had Jurus.
Yeah, but what I remember then times then now on say if they're playing on a Saturday afternoon, me, John Henry, have to be by my grandmother on a Saturday morning to polish all them man boots. Whoever brings their boots there, if it's Desmond Dewhurst or if it's Dashin, brings their boots there. My uncle, first my uncle boots will always be there because that's where he lived, you know what I mean? So I had to polish his boots, and so the others used to come and take advantage too, and Johnny would polish the boots for them and thing, you know what I mean? But that's what I did. Yeah, but so I remember that very clearly as well. Yeah, shining the boots. So I'm a Spartanite at heart.
We are going to speak a little bit about football in a while. I have to find out really what made you such a superstar soccer player, especially playing link. So that we have to talk about, you know. And we both were in the same house in the St. Mary's Academy, St. George's.
So you knew, yes.
And we did quite a lot of magic
together. Yes.
Yes. In reference to your grandfather, Daddy James. Daddy James lived on 40 Fields Lane, and I lived on 49 Fields Lane, right in front of my house.
And you were an integral part of my growing up too, you know.
and sometimes I tell people that there are two houses that I never entered
on Fields Lane.
The house of
Mavayo.
The mother of Philip Potter.
Yeah, Dr. Philip
and
Potter.
Daddy James house. Yeah. Never. The most you could have done is to touch the knob of the house and not enter.
Of the door.
Sorry.
Yeah, the door.
And not enter.
Or the veranda, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, well, my grandfather, I understood that he was what we call at the time a tongue board. By the time I really got to know my grandfather, or been visiting my grandfather as a child, an infant, Daddy James had already retired. But he was like an estate agent, or I wouldn't really say an estate agent, he was an agent. So if you own property in Dominica and you're out of Dominica and you had people renting your house, Daddy James would be the rent collector. People would come to pay their rent to him for the owner. You get what I'm trying to say? So I remember Daddy James had a desk, proper desk, office and everything, and a whole heap of liquor books. And each book had an owner. And I'm talking about like a 40, 50 books, not one book, you know what I mean? But the James had a whole heap of people. So every month people would come and pay their rent. And there comes a time when we probably had to go buy the stamp. So he'd put a stamp on it and things. So give the person a receipt. So Daddy James, that's what I knew my grandfather doing. But I learned from him, and he used to be a tongue board. And a tongue board was it's like a tongue inspector he worked for the tongue council.
Like how Solomon did.
Like how Salo did.
Solomon,
a tongue. People call him the tongue board. Mr. Scotland,
yes. You know, so he would pass around and inspect and if someone died, he'd ring the bell. Or if water is going to be taken, he rings the bell.
Kind of thing,
so he was really the inspector of this of Roseau.
Yeah, man, for the tongue council.
At that time, the Roseau was the tongue. So he was the. Yeah, so tell us a little bit about Daddy
James. Oh, Daddy James was a very staunch Catholic, very religious man, and I think that's where my daddy got it from as well. And so we've Daddy up until we were probably up until the age Daddy James could no longer do it, which I reckon was about just between 79 and 80. From Miss Burton school days up until that time, every afternoon we come from school, we had to go by Daddy James for what we call our afternoon. Basically, it's like tea, afternoon tea. But Daddy James would either have products from Eric's Bakery, like the turnover or the rough cake or the milk bun, yeah, and squash or ginger beer.
And at that time, sorry, Johnny, at that time, Eric's
was right at the bottom,
right at the corner of Independence Street. Now it's called. At the time, it was Queen Mary Street.
Queen Mary Street. So it's about if you walk in north or down Queen Mary Street or Independence Street after you pass the intersection with King George V Street, it would have probably been
the first building,
the third house before the junction with Fields Lane, on the left hand side of the road.
I normally say it's one big house. I normally say it's one big building. Big building. You had the man shop, and then you had
Keith Benji's. Mr. Benji's.
If you're coming down,
Mr. Benji's shop.
If you're coming from King George V Street from the hill,
yes,
you have the Lotto office.
Yes.
Then you have the Astafans. Then you have
Keith Benji's
father,
and that next would be Eric's Bakery.
Eric's Bakery.
Yes, and then the rest would be Miss Winston's school.
So for persons who not want to get confused, we can say in the corner of Independence Street and Fields Lane.
Yes, right there.
Right
there. Eric's outlet. And there we used to get the turnover. You know the turnover, the rough cake, the milk
bun. The milk bun, the rough cake.
Yeah. Cecil, did you never come inside? You never been inside Daddy James' house?
Never been.
Bloody hell. So you're not one of those we invited to us then?
Never been.
We used to bring some friends with us.
Because Daddy James was a very serious man. and when he speaks, you have to obey.
Oh.
You know, when he says get in, he had a way of saying get in. Yeah. You know? And I remember he's wearing his Ray-Ban glasses. You know? And when Daddy James speaks, you know, his chest right up.
Yeah, man.
You have to just have to run inside.
A lot of youngsters were scared of Daddy James, to be honest with you.
I can imagine.
We weren't scared. We weren't scared of him, but the others would have been scared of him. Yeah, he was this kind of that kind of aura about him that you had to be scared or respect.
So people like Philip John Baptist, Alan John Baptist,
them boys there,
Wilfred John Baptist,
yes,
Julian John Baptist, even Ted Daly.
I don't remember. I must admit, I don't remember Ted Daly.
Ted Daly was at 41.
I know that. I know that. But I don't remember Ted. Yes. I remember Pancho on them. Yes. I do remember Pancho on them.
Then you had Janice.
Yes.
And her sister, Dr. Ricketts.
Yes,
They lived right there.
Yeah. That
so
I remember.
They were right next to your grandfather.
Daddy James.
Now you said that your grandfather in the afternoon, every afternoon, prepare your afternoon tea.
Afternoon tea. Yeah.
Yes. Give us a little bit of that.
That was it was nice, and so I figured that started from the Miss Burton school days. So when we came from school, we go to see Daddy James, and he would sort us out. Yeah, and Daddy James, and it wasn't always Ma James doing it. Daddy James would do it himself too. You get me? So it wasn't his wife doing it all the time. Daddy James used to look after his grandchildren and make them a squash. Daddy James would make a bad squash and a ginger beer, I'm telling you. And recently I went by Bolo down in the town, and Bolo gave me, I bought a ginger beer, and when I tasted it, I said, Bolo boy, that changing like my grandfather ginger beer, you know what I mean? You sure you didn't get a recipe from my grandpa?
Yes.
Daddy James had a signature ginger beer, man.
Yes.
Yeah, it's wicked. You enjoy that Christmas time. On a birthday or so, you make a bad ginger beer. Yeah.
No. Daddy James was from Collier, right?
No, I reckon Daddy James was a Roseau boy.
A Roseau boy.
I must admit, we the Henrys on Virgin Lane do not know much about our grandpa's family or his history, and that translates to my pops. But what I do know is that my grandfather had two sons. Alan, who's just older than my dad was the last, and my father, Alan Henry. First of all, my grandfather was a musician, so his two sons were musicians. Yeah, Alan. Most people would know him as Jimping, and
Yeah, that's right.
that was my father, my grandpa. And you see the thing Andy Carter doing now on Juve and thing.
Yeah.
My grandfather, my uncle was the first person I know doing them kind of things there. How Andy Carter dresses up different ways on Juve morning. My grandfather was the first man I see
Your
dress.
uncle?
My uncle was the first man I see with a nightie and brassiere and lipstick and earring in a Juve.
Yeah, he was a man dressed like
He
a
was
woman.
regularly. That was his man thing. It's true. That was his thing, you know. And he could drink a bad one.
Bad rum.
He could drink a bad, but his profession was a tailor. He was a wicked tailor. And he used to be his office. I was about to say his office. He used to be based, you know, down Independent. You know where Coppell used to be, down Independent Street.
Yes.
Yeah.
Coppell. He lived. He was based in the
In that Lakou
that's
there.
right, that's where I last remember Uncle Alan Levy and sewing in right in the by Coppell there. Yeah. Now, for some strange reason, we do not know. As a matter of fact, it's just a distant relative of my father I know of, and they used to live on very first house on Valley Road. Valley Road is the road going up to Bath Estate. That's where they live. So
By the convent prep.
right by the convent prep, the very first house. That's where they live. And I'm saying Cici, I think she's now Cici Saint-Hilaire.
Yes.
I think she and her mom and these are the only family relatives I know by my father. Nobody else. So all the relatives or the relatives I know of is by my mom, on my mom's side. And I cannot explain that. But having said that, I recently learned though that my dad's mom was from Collio. But she died when he was 7. And my dad was born in 1935. So my grandmother by father died in roughly around 1942. And I cannot tell you the story. Growing up, me Johnny wasn't interested in them things. I was more interested in playing, and so I was interested in learning family history. And so maybe my sister Eileen knows more along them lines there. But me, I was more looking to go in the Windsor Park or in the St. Martin schoolyard. Until learn about my family tree and so, you know. I mean, in hindsight, it wasn't a good idea, you know what I mean? But that's how it is. So I cannot really say to you that we know a lot of relatives. I am sure there are, but we do not know. We were never said to this is your cousin or this. The only people that my mom told us that was related to my dad were these people down on Valley Road. That is it. So there are Henrys in Granby, there are Henrys in Maho, and so I cannot tell you that we are related. I want to think so. I would like to think so. But I cannot tell you for certainty, yes, they are my cousins or my third cousins or whatever, no.
But I also knew that your grandfather married twice.
Yes, Daddy James married twice. I want to think I would want to think my father's mother was his first wife. I cannot confirm that. I do not have any information on that. Being a very strict, staunch Catholic man, I would want to think that he married the lady. You get what I'm trying to say? He may not have, but I would want to think so. So yes, let us assume that. Well, actually, in our house, the school of thought is James was his second wife. Anyway, yeah, that's how the school of thought was. So yes, let's say he was married twice. Yeah.
So someone said, I suspect it's your sister, Marilyn Holmes. She said his first wife was from Collio.
Yes.
And she was a Parilo.
That's it, Sybil Parilo. So yes, he did marry the first lady then, yeah. That's my father's mother, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she was a Parilo.
Yes, she was a Parilo. Her name was Sybil Parilo, yes.
So I'm sure after this program is over, that many, because you live in Collio yourself.
Yeah, I do live in Collio now, yes.
And I can imagine soon from now, another person going to say, Johnny, you know, you're my second cousin, my first cousin, my first cousin.
But listen. Thursday or Friday I went to a funeral in Collio, and this elderly lady comes to me and she says, I hear you is my family. But I said and she wanted to have the conversation then. No, but I said to her, I'm a little bit busy because I had somebody up on the farm, so I had to go and get the person and thing, yeah. So I said to her, we will continue that conversation later because I want to know. Anyway, there's this guy in Collio, and I mentioned that thing. He's slightly older than me. What's his name again? Shit. His name is when his name comes back, I'll tell you. And he says to me, no, George Nicholas, the former police officer. I told him that.
Nicholas George.
Nicholas George, yeah. Nicholas said to me, boss, look, all there is your family land, you know, and so all there is your family from the parallels were just from there. And so, you see, once he's a parallel from Collier, all the parallels in Collier are related to you. That's what he said to me. But we haven't really established them links yet. And so until I go talk to that lady soon, yeah. But, yeah, so I got some roots in Collier, I think.
Not you think, it's a fact. Someone wants to say hi. Let me hear what that person has to say. Good evening to you, caller. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening, caller. Good evening. Good evening. Caller, have to try again. Now, Johnny, let's go back now, because earlier on you made a statement and it catch me when you're talking about the bedroom. I want to know and you spoke that you said that you're a stone Catholic. I want to know, what did you all do as stone Catholic at home?
First, listen to me. Everything that everything that was happening in the church, Nutella. If it was 5:30 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, no matter what bloody time it was, we were there. If it's Salisbury, if it's La Salette in Point Michel, and so also too, Daddy made sure that we were all, bar none, Legion of Mary members. So we had to say our Katina regularly. We had to go to meetings on a Saturday with Sister Clara. And one of the good things about, I'm not knocking this thing because that shaped us. And I would not deny anybody that kind of upbringing, to be honest with you, because that shaped us into what we are today.
Johnny,
just hold your phone while someone's on the phone.
One thing you don't tell them, your father was a teacher at the school.
I don't remember that.
Well, hey, Muku talking to you, remember that too?
Muku.
Oh, yeah. Muku.
Yeah.
Oh, Muku, no. Muku, version and original.
Yes.
Muku, no.
This Burton school, at the first place it is right now. It was just by Harry and CD where the building, the building is all in white. Then where he was go to school there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, Muku.
I don't recall, or anybody. I don't ever recall my father being a teacher. I can remember them things here. Probably before I was born, actually. And Muku's this man just see us, all of us, born. So he probably knew. He knows. Not probably know. He knows. Yes. He's a virgin man, original. Yeah.
So you're talking about you're Porto Catholic, and you have to be a member of everything in the church.
But I was acolyte, or we were acolytes. Not I know we. The last three kind of missed out. I escaped these things. Yeah. The last CC Sibyl and James kind of missed these things out. But from me back up, listen. On a Saturday we had to go to Legion of Mary at the convent with sister.
Hold that. That's interesting, but the telephone is coming. Telephone calls are coming. Good evening to you, caller.
Hey, Cecil, how you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Jerry, man, Johnny.
That's my good buddy.
Yes, you did. What's up, my man?
Cecil.
Yes.
Not bad, Cecil.
Yes.
Johnny and I fought a friendship when I was he was out of SMA already.
Yes.
So
Daddy died already. Yeah.
I was out. He was already gone. I was still in SMA, and we fought. I was in my teenage years. And we forged a relationship up to this day. I left Dominic at 18, and up to this day we are still good friends. I just spoke to him the other day.
Yeah.
And when I saw him going on be on your show, I called him and I said to him, boy, long time I know you're late, all right? I say you're going to test this show. But I never know that show. I never know that show is political.
My brother, my show is not a political show.
It's not a political show. That's like Jerry teasing me, my man. Jerry always teasing me all on political lines.
He says something else, man.
He always teases me all on political lines, believe me.
Hey, but it's a great show, man. I'm listening to Johnny there.
Yeah.
He's back in his land, doing what he likes to do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for calling, Jerry. Respect for that, my brother. Yeah, man.
Thanks, Jerry.
No, the thing now, Jerry and I started a relationship around 1982, and I'll tell you why. After Daddy died, I spent a lot of time at the new grotto down by the grammar school technical wing side. Remember the new grotto downstairs?
Yeah.
Stringing stars also.
Yes, and Roy Shillingford is be playing the keyboards, you know. And I asked him, can you teach me? He said, yes, but I thought to myself, boy, maybe I should just go and register at Christian Musical School. Yeah, to play the keyboard. Just watching Roy Shillingford play the keyboards in the grotto in 1982. So I decided I'm going to join Christian Musical School. And so, after the thing with Christian Musical School is that, from my experience, that before you go into a new lesson, you have to be fluent in the previous lesson. Mm-hmm. No, I don't have a keyboard at home to practice. And I met Jerry there. And so Jerry had some kind of thing like a keyboard at his home. So that is where I met Jerry, and I forged our relations. I had to go by Jerry and practice and things. So while that stint at Christian Musical School ended, I started practicing for the youth team, football youth team.
So we'll come to that.
Yeah,
let's go to the telephone. Good evening. Good evening,
Johnny Henry.
The snapper.
Yes,
snapper. Papa State. Yeah.
Yeah, man, Johnny.
Respect.
Yes. Yeah, man, respect. Your boy Jerry too. There was by him and he tell me that thing about what he tell you there. He say, "Boy Jerry, boy, you just trouble some." I send him the link. I tell him, boy Johnny going to be on ancestral. Listen.
Jerry called me right away.
Yeah. He tell me that today. He tell you long suspect
No. Jerry always calls me and teases me about this politics thing, you know what I mean? And I'm trying to take
it. Yeah, man. So nice program for Jerry, but nice to.
Yeah. Nice to call the snapper.
Yeah, man. You. My sister lives in Korea, so
yeah. We just link up actually, yeah. And she told me, she introduced herself to me, told me that she's Snapper's sister. Yeah. I met your sister.
Oh,
yeah, man, I met your sister, man. Yeah. In Ireland's place. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, right.
Actually, I've met your brother down there a few times as well.
Okay.
Yes. So
yeah, man.
So I know that you have a Collier connection. Yes. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Thanks, Snapper.
That's my boy.
Thanks.
Thank you. Let's take another call quickly. Good evening to you, caller.
And in Daniel Paris play for the Boston Brothers.
Boston Brothers.
Yeah.
The band, yeah. The band, yeah. That name rings a bell. Yes, I remember that name, the Boston. Yeah. Listen. Some time ago, yeah, we were going through the old album pictures, and I saw a picture of the band there, and guess who was in that picture with them fellas? Veerbud. You know Veerbud, the Prime Minister of Antigua?
Yeah.
I don't think he was Prime Minister at the time. Trust me, because we were talking about in the 60s. So he may have been a budding politician at the time, but Veerbud was in one of those pictures with my father and them. In the the little bow tie, and them the bandsmen were well dressed and that kind of casual wear they were wearing these days. Yeah, so I've seen that. So my dad, they had a contract to play Antigua's Carnival and thing. Yeah.
No, Johnny. Someone said, because we're on the church aspect of things, someone said every morning Mr. Jim went to church religiously, and after he would drop at his family good friend's home for coffee on Bath Road.
So that would be Mr. Luis and them then?
Must be Mr. Luis and them.
I would only think so. Well, my dad had so many good friends, but on Bath Road I'd want to probably think it's the Luis and them, yeah. That's my first. You said about Bath Road and my friend. I was thinking of the Luis first. Yeah.
Yes.
That's where the shop is now.
It's Luis, my Luis.
Yeah,
but it's my other wife.
My other wife.
My
yes,
other wife.
Yes, that building there.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, Johnny. So tell us a little bit about home now and
about
church.
Like the person said, we would follow. Well, sometimes okay. So we were Legion of Mary's, and on Saturdays we had to go to Legion of Mary's meeting, and we had to say our Katina, and you had to tell them how many times of the week you said the Katina, and so. But also too, we did a lot of visits to like the leper home. Do you guys remember the leper home?
Oh yes,
I've been to the leper home many times, visiting the lepers as part of the Legion of Mary. There was this nun, this angel of a nun called Sister Clara.
You're talking about the leper home
in Taro.
Okay, yes.
So and also to the infirmary on Pottersville, where the Wasco water treatment works, or sewage treatment works is there. There was the old infirmary there as well. Man, I've visited time as a youngster many times to go and pray the elderly and shake their hand and make sure we can do something to help them, and that was all driven by Sister Clara. I'm sure my sisters and my siblings would remember that. I'm very, very, because that was just an integral part of our growing up. Yeah. Now, my parents were so, I call them poto in the church, yeah, posts, pillars. We couldn't afford to pay for a big bench pews, yeah, but we were getting special treatment in the church. My father, yeah, had us, yeah, month of May and month of April is the month for the rosary. I don't know, most Catholics should know that. Bro, by the time I was 3 to 5 years old, I reckon I could say a decade in the rosary. Or my siblings could have said a decade in the rosary by the time they were 3 to 5 years old. That was just a must. No matter what your age is, as long as you could hold, you would kneel around the bed at night saying, may every night God make a night this month of May. And every night God make a night in October. We would be around the bed saying, rolling our chaplain with our parents. And there came a time where Dad would say to you, John, your turn to say a decade. Or Addison, it's your turn to say a decade. Or Marilyn, it's your turn to say a decade. And you have to be able to say the decade, Chad. You know what I mean? There was no getting away from that. We learned that. That was part and parcel of our growing up. You know what I mean? And I sometimes ask myself, I wonder how many youths grew up like that. But that was part of our growing up. That made us what we are today.
You said that you were an acolyte.
Oh yes, I was an acolyte.
Tell us the life of being an acolyte.
The acolyte days came about after I started secondary school, and I served mass. But Lennox Abraham, first of all, Francis Joseph, not Francis. What was his big old name now? The Joseph they used to be on Queen Mary Street by Tibbs there. In the same house Tibbs live in there. Where Tibbs have the shop, the Patricia, Tibbs and Patricia. In the live there, the bigger one, not Francis, no, there was a bigger brother, he was in charge, he was the big, Julian was the first one, Julian.
Oh, you're talking about Cecil Joseph and them?
Yes, but Julian on Fields Lane was the big boy.
Julian John Baptist.
Was the head of the...
Yeah, he was the head of the...
So he was the first one that roped the scene into the... Because
like me too. Like me too, he was my neighbor. And he was the one roping everybody in for the priest.
Yeah, he roped me, and because he knew Daddy James was stalwarts, he made sure we were there.
And he was the neighbor of Daddy James.
Indeed. So he was
and for persons who might be wondering who we're talking about is the former fire chief Julian John Baptist.
John Baptist, yes. Yeah. He was the first one that roped us into the acolyte business, you know. And I did that until I left school. Even after my father died,
your sister Sibyl is saying that besides the rosary month, we had to kneel around the bed every night
to pray
before we go to bed.
It's true. That is true. That was not questionable. Not a question at all. Even when Daddy was not home and not well, Mommy would continue it. You check me. That was just the norm.
Wow.
That's how we grew up. And I often say to people, if you see any of us bad on the street, don't hold our parents responsible. We chose to be bad. Yeah. Oh yes, I mentioned that before, not tonight, but you and I when we were speaking, I mentioned that, yeah, we sat down around the bed every night to pray with my parents, yeah. And that's why I said to you, I sometimes sit down and think, I wonder how many youths grew up like that. Because I think we were special in that house. That family, yeah man, that family unit, yeah man, properly special, trust me, yeah.
That's amazing, eh?
Yeah man.
Yeah, but Cecil,
yes,
with that, what you call it, the rosary?
The chaplain.
No, the thing that you always saying.
The Katina.
What is that?
The Katina is a set of prayers for the Legion of Mary. You have to be in the Legion of Mary to know. No ordinary Catholic that's not in the Legion of Mary would not know about.
Tell us a little bit about it.
I can't remember much about the Katina. Actually, strange enough, no. Recently, they are talking about it, and Uncle Eustace sent me something about the Katina and thing. So I've recently received, because not too long ago I was talking about it, and my Uncle Eustace was here. I think he was there for Uncle Gifford's funeral, and we were at Wallace by Auntie Angela, and I was saying to them, boy, we used to go and see the Katina and thing, and Uncle Eustace, when he gone to America, where he gone there, he sent me a copy of it. So I've got it, actually, I've got bless him. Uncle Eustace sent me that, yeah, because he's active in that all now, so to be honest with you, yeah. So
and you forget that already?
I forget that. Cecil, we're talking about let us say I stopped that when I started the academy, when I left the academy, 81. This is 19 and 24, that is 43 years ago, you know what I mean?
Yes.
I mean, I remember these things, the Katina, and we had some We were in as junior Sacred Heart and them, we had all things to put around our neck and all them kind of stuff.
So what they were telling you in the Sacred Heart?
How to be good boys. The thing I remember most about these things though is that ever so often there were tea parties at the social center, and we were always present. Yes. So
what about the you being an acolyte and having to go to the bishop's yard to take his mangoes?
Boy,
to thief his mangoes.
It's just been a typical Virgin boy, you know. And we had issues with them with the nuns and the bishops. We would go and ask diligently first, you know.
Sandra Green said good night.
Good night. Hey Sandra, good night. We would go and ask them. And they'll say, the mangoes fall on the ground and nobody's picking it, and they'll say to us no.
The priest would say to you no.
Normally, not really the priest. Let us deal with the convent, because we more initially at a young age it was a convent.
Yes.
And in the convent yard you see in there now, you had some kind of huge guavas. The guava tree were not kind of like a fenke like a guava, you know, some kind of serious guava. Can probably burst your head with them, you know what I mean? Big guavas and big mangoes and cherries, and they were in abundance there, and you can see them falling. You see the birds cuckooing them, and we go in and ask, and they will say to us no. So we used to go and read the mangoes, innit? We used to go and read the mangoes. And we used to read the mangoes regular as Lakou. We also used to play in the yard. So when we finished playing, we used to go and, there was also, they had a grotto there as well with fishes. And so we used to go and take them fish too.
So he wasn't scared that the sisters would shake their gog?
No, but we were not thinking of them things, these things there. The things that, what would happen if they make me out, they'd go tell mommy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and you know I'd get my little blows and thing, yeah. Until when I became a certain age, I said to mommy, not me, no mommy, it's Donald. And Jim tell me, Timothy, let me tell you something, John Henry. When she calls me John, you know I'm in trouble, yeah?
Yes.
Let me tell you something, John. Timothy, if it's a life of crime you want to live, do not involve anybody in your crime. Do your crimes by yourself. I will never forget that lesson from my queen. If it's the life of crime you want to live, Johnny, do your crime by yourself.
So you mean you're that bad, Johnny?
I wasn't bad, Cecil. I was just being a little boy in the street. Every youth man in my age and my seat, all of us, we go and read the bishop, the convent yard.
Coy was a troublesome fella. What would Coy be doing in Virgin Lane?
He probably be the ringleader.
Wow.
Coy would probably be the. But as we grew bigger, we started going to bishop's yard and the priest's yard and things. Even as an acolyte, you know, my boy.
You're reading the bishop mango.
The grafted mango from the bishop house?
Yeah, in the bishop yard, yeah. And so we first of all, we'd go and ask matron. And sometimes she be a little lenient and give us something. Another time, but most of the time they would say no. You know, and we can see the mangoes, they're cuckooing, birds, they're picking them thing, and they had some R station dog.
Yes. There's some 2 R station dogs.
Right. So after we get,
that's Bishop Bogart, right?
Yeah, man. A certain age, you had a crew that would distract the dogs, and a crew that would go and pick the mangoes.
You're brave.
But we had to work it out, you know what I mean. Another thing I would say though, although we grew up, and I say we, I'm not meaning just me and my siblings alone, the Virgin and youths around here, I cannot really say we would go hungry because we had an abundance of places we could go and get things to eat. Starting with station.
I like that you say station. Some people say gardens.
So
people that say station, I know they're my age.
Station.
We
used to go station. Station had a whole heap of different things. Exotic things. Mangosteen, Bishop Heart, Tamaway Blue.
Yes.
Tamaway Blue still
I haven't seen Tamaway Blue for a while. I was going to look for Tamaway Blue.
Still Tamaway Blue. You know what I mean? And then we go in the real part of the station or in the experimental part of the station.
At the back. That is your fruit, sir.
You get what I'm trying to say? So that was our stomping ground. We had that at our disposal. So anytime you feel hungry and it's not lunchtime or dinner time yet, station.
And when you have people like Coffee and
Angelo. There's a chance that's still the thing about it is that now Angelo was living in the yard by my grandmother.
Yes, he lived in Virgin Lane.
No, Virgin Lane. Bathroom,
yes, at that time.
Yeah, Angelo. Yes. So Angelo was a little lenient, and Coffee now knew from my family too.
Yes.
So we used to get a little blind, but also we used to time them. We knew them. we were able to work it out and know that there are no guards there at this time. You know what I mean? Let's go and read.
And then they built a big pond of talapias. Yeah. Did you find yourself going in that pond and get talapias?
No, we never.
There was a gate and there was a fence.
Yeah,
some guys used to. Some of us guys used to by 45 steps.
Yeah, what I remember doing though was we used to hunt. We used to make catapults and go and hunt birds.
Yes.
So we did a lot of hunting there. Yeah. So even birds, pitch, and mawe and them kind of things there, and how you call it, guive and them kind of things there. And then
I haven't seen guive for a long time.
But we're not hungry. On the west coast has quite a bit, to be honest. We don't, where I am now, I've seen quite a bit of guive, So we had that. Charles Soso was the ringleader when it comes to catapults. I know you remember Charles Soso.
Yeah, man, everyone knows Charles Soso.
Right, Charles Soso would make our catapults first. He would get the
tire,
the tube,
and
cut the strips and make the catapult go in the station. He used to love doing them things.
And also getting the proper stick.
That's exactly the stick to
make that V. He was that Y, not V, that Y.
You're the
and to be able to tie it. Yes. You know, and
he taught us how to fire the catapult and how to boons them siki and them mad and
in those days when you stretch that catapult, you don't hit the siki nowhere else but in the fall. In the fall. Yes.
But you see what he did? He used the Lakou boons.
Yeah, man, boons. Yeah, man.
Your boons. That means you shoot
it,
and knock it. Very good, in the fall, in the fall.
Yeah, man,
and the other Lakou word is the fall. Very good, very good. You know your Lakou words, man.
Well, someone asked me to ask you if Dadai ever hold you.
Dadai?
Yes, Dadai.
No, Dadai. I help Dadai.
That used to be in the grammar school.
I used to help Dadai.
You used to help Dadai.
Put up the goal net and thing. We didn't reach the football part.
We didn't football part yet.
I used to help Dadai. Trust me. So no, Dadai never chased me. That was my friend actually. That was my friend. Yeah.
So now, Johnny, you at the house they taught you to the indoctrinated you. I could say to be involved.
A good Christian boy.
To be a good Christian boy.
Yeah, man.
Are you seeing those things today?
Oh yeah. I of course. I cannot imagine myself without that kind of foundation. And I guess my siblings would be the same. And I would not give that up for anything, to be honest with you. Listen to me, Cecil. John Henry, grew up without a care in the world of us. You get what I'm trying to say? I was never worrying about things. My parents did the worrying. You get what I'm trying to say? Our parents did the worrying. Me, and I would imagine my siblings had nothing to worry about. We grew up worry-free. My siblings and I kind of grew up worry-free. I put my hand in the fire to say that we grew up worry-free. My boss, listen to me. In all honesty, I can honestly say to you, I cannot say to you I've seen my parents argue as. I cannot say to you that. The only time I could probably say so is when Daddy's getting unwell. You get what I'm trying to say? When Daddy's getting sick, Mommy would probably making noise to you saying it's time for me to take you, and he would probably try to resist, and then she'll call Dr. Roy. You get what I'm trying to say? But apart from that, I can't say to people I've seen my parents argue, Chad. I'm not saying that they never argued,
Yes.
But I'm saying
not the presence of children.
I cannot say that I've seen my parents argue.
I put a picture on the screen there.
Fields Lane.
Yes. That's 40
Fields Lane,
40 Fields Lane. That's where Daddy James
lived, yep.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the house.
And that house has been that way for 60 plus years.
Oh, before I know myself, isn't it? Yeah. That house has been like this, yeah.
The one you're calling Daddy James, was it the one that found limp? He had a limp?
No.
Well, I remember my daddy James had elephantitis.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's probably the same person you're talking about.
The same person, yeah.
He had elephantitis, yeah.
I know him.
You don't remember that, Cecil? Daddy James had elephantitis, yeah.
No,
he had some kind of big foot. Yeah.
I never seen him with a big foot.
Yeah, man.
That's why I was having that khaki long pants all the time.
Yeah, he had the khaki long pants.
Yeah, but I just had elephantitis. Yeah.
You're telling me that for the very first time.
Yeah, man, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure my siblings in the United States and my mom and my father.
Your mom will definitely know that, and Miss
Mr. Man.
Yeah, man, Mr. Man will know that too. Yeah, man.
I know.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Good evening to you, caller. Oh, sorry about that. The caller's gone. No, so I make it my business to really show that house in Fields Lane, and this one in Upper Lane,
right?
In
Virgin Lane.
In Virgin Lane.
Yes,
John.
Hold on. John is watching something there, and you see the jalousie door.
Yes. I remember that door, boss. Yeah.
That door. I mean, everybody in Roseau
used to have a door like that.
Jalousie window.
And you notice the door has also its protection for the hurricane.
That's right.
All the windows had that.
Right.
My boy, even now as we speak, here you go in this house, the A-frames, it's wooden door wheels. You know what I mean? No, there's no nail in that. It's wooden pegs holding the individual parts together.
Good evening to you, caller. Good evening to you, caller. Sorry about that, caller. You have to call back.
Let me ask you a question, Johnny. There was a James that used to be always friendly with my aunt. I don't know whether you know that. I don't know if that's same James with Helling.
No.
That was another James.
I don't think that's Daddy James would have. No, I can't recall Daddy James. I can't recall Daddy James ever had a girlfriend outside.
No, boy, Daddy James is gonna think that.
Daddy James auntie.
Mad,
you know.
No, I'm just asking.
Not that we're aware of, no, sir.
All right,
Daddy James and my father, you mad.
And someone said he did walk with a limp. We made fun of him.
Yeah. Well, I don't remember. Well, I reckon because of the elephantitis. Yeah, I guess maybe.
Yeah, I honestly I can't recall.
Yeah, man, I just had elephantitis. Yeah, man. I recall my grandfather had elephantitis. So much so I thought sometimes I remember it being difficult for him to walk up Constitution Hill. And now we probably had to hold his hand to help him walk up Constitutional Hill. Yeah. But I just had elephantitis. Yeah.
And someone said to me, they remember that door. Can you imagine some things that people remember?
But watch the picture. Watch the gravel in front here.
Oh yes, the gravels.
You see them gravels. Yeah.
Yes.
Every time they come to fix the road and they dig up the road, they throw the gravels on the street. Unfortunately, at that time there were only probably 3 or 4 sidewalks that were paved. Everything else was gravels. When they come to dig up the road to resurface the road or to block to patch holes, the stones they throw in there. That's why we call Virginia eventually Rock City, because there's a whole heap of stones, isn't it?
Yes. And you can see Daddy James and Ma Jimmy.
Ma James. Ma James.
It's called Ma Jimmy, right?
No, Ma James used to call her Ma James. Yeah, because we used to call her Ma James. Ma James we used to call her. Yeah. We didn't even call her Granny or anything. Yeah.
Yes.
And Daddy James used to call her Lillian.
See, the picture is amazing. You know, everybody's standing straight.
Yeah, and that is CC. There's the last one, and so Sibyl and James are missing from that picture.
They were not born yet.
No, they weren't born yet. No, you know, CC is the last.
Yes, CC is the last. CC baby.
And listen to me carefully. Yeah, you see, up to myself, CC between CC and I is the biggest gap with all the children. So I know that they decided to take a pause. All the others are step 1 year. Jimbo wasn't joking in her ass.
One behind the other.
Listen, and then after me, there's almost a 3-year gap between CC and I. 3 years. I know that the reading was started to work really properly now, or what, but there's the 3-year gap between CC and I, and then CC, then probably a 1.5, 2 years between CC and Sibyl, and then James. You know, in the 3 last.
We have 157 people viewing at this time. That tells you you're going viral.
Yeah.
You know, so Johnny, coming back to you and Virgin Lane, Koi used to have a phrase. Help us actually know that phrase.
It's not a phrase, you know. Koi was like the Virgin Lane alarm. Koi, my memory was that Koi was, and I've shown my sisters and everyone remember that. Koi was the Virgin Lane alarm. He'd wake up in the morning and run up and down the street saying, "Deedle, deedle." I don't know.
Koi did that even I think he worked at Josephine Gabriel Coca-Cola, and Koi always is doing that. Why?
You better call Koi and ask him. Yeah?
Koi better give us a call, or Peter, if you're listening to us, give us a call and tell us why.
Koi used to this wake up in the morning and think, and listen, the Virgin parents at the time used to tell us, "Oh, pass with Koi still a bad book," and that's not true. It's just because he was big. He was probably a year or 2 ahead of us, and so we used to follow him. He used to follow bigger boys, and we follow him. But Koi turned out to be good. Yeah,
what your sister said.
Yeah.
Your sister said that Rudolph was born in January and John was born in December.
I just didn't want to say that. My boy trust me, but it's true.
Your sister said that.
Jimbo wasn't joking in her ass. My father wasn't joking. 11 months apart. Rudolph January and in the same
year.
Yeah.
But your father was a hot
same year.
Yeah, man. My boy used to run some things, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Wow.
Same year. And then within a year Marilyn, and within another year Addison, and within another year Elaine, and then myself, and then they pause.
Wow. So it's a gunslinger, man.
Boy, was dangerous, man. Yeah.
Good evening to you, caller.
Good evening, there, fireman touching base.
Yes, fireman.
Yes, my boy.
Yes, my boy.
Good evening to Mr. Brother and Mr. Joseph.
Yes,
Good evening
my
to you.
brother. Good evening.
And good evening to the great ambassador of River Nickel. They call it Dominica Fireman, say River Nickel. John, you know he's a great man.
Yes.
You know,
Thanks.
from since you burst on Green City, from there he's a hard worker, Rasta. You represent that little country. He's a great man, fireman, love you for life. But well and truly, brother Johnny. Now, all them man you raise up with, well and truly, you talking and listen to everything I'm playing, right? I love to listen to a fireman. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But all them people you raise up with there, whether they die or they disappear.
Boy, most of them. Most of them, a lot of them have moved out of Virgin Lane and gone other places. I want to think most of them out here. I cannot say to you that I know of any who has passed away. Let me call some names here from Virgin. Let me start down by the Nichols's side. There was Spice. He could come and tell how they call him today, but he know himself. Peter, his name was Peter, but Spice. We call him Spice. He was, in my opinion at the time, the lead kite maker. He was the one who taught us how to make kites. And he had, I think, other brothers and cousins called Steve, and then there was Bernard, and then there was Barkenek, and there was one other one before Barkenek. I can't remember his name too good, but there were 5 of them, 5 boys there. Just down by where Bevo is there, we see Bevo shop.
Yes.
Right there they lived in there. And then you had Barrington and Smith. Barrington, Hayden Smith was a truck driver, and he had his sons Barrington and Ferdinand. I think Ferdinand came a little later. Yeah, but Barrington. Next to that you had Peter Skerritt, Black, but Black was a bigger boy. Yeah.
Black has played the basketball.
Yes,
he's a wrong.
Yeah, I know he's a wrong, but they were slightly bigger, but he and Terry, but they were original. Then we had McNeil, the boxer.
Oh, yes, the boxer, yes.
Dorset.
Yes, he's still a wrong.
That's my first barber. The first man I know cutting my hair was McNeil Jules. You know what I mean? On Virgin Lane. And then you had also in the yard now, you had Steve, Tissue's bigger brother Magnus, and Ed.
Yes.
Yeah. And higher up you had Rudy, Duncan Joram, Peter, Coy, Glenford, Kent. Yeah.
Touch me down.
I went higher up. Then you had Cox, Mac Cox.
Mac Cox, yeah.
Gregory
Cox and so.
Gregory Cox.
Yes.
And then in that yard there, that to me that is Virgin Lane. To me was that cool there going back to the convent and back down Bath Road and Virgin Lane. That to me was my Virgin Lane area initially, because
you forget T-Boy, man.
No, I haven't touched it because you had touching down, you had T-Boy, and later on then we had Wilford and Ian Doctrove, you had Wilford, you had Michigan, which is Ian's brother Michael, and then to a lesser extent Avan, his smaller brother, and so. And you had Teebs. Who else was there in that yard? I can't remember.
Johnny, now hear that now. Talking about that. So, but you never Jerry touch Jackery, man. I talk about the Jackery, but I want the best in the Caribbean, Momo.
What was that?
Talking about that Jackery there.
Jackery.
The bread.
Boy, Jerry Toads, the Toads, boy, Jerry, them, the Toads family, boy, that's the best Jackery in the Caribbean. Let me tell you something, boy. Nobody can touch that one. Since them man finish, Jackery finish. But now, Johnny, another thing again now. You don't find well and truly now. We in your time and this time. You don't find well and truly now. Coming to River Nick, I know it's overseas for a little while, but you're a man I love you because you come back to your country. Some man can come back and they get in the country, but I love you. You come back in your place. But no, you don't find the culture once upon when you're growing up, and the culture now is a bit different.
Oh yeah, yes, oh yeah.
Thank you very much.
Oh yeah, and part of that is what people refer to.
Someone told you to remember Roy Laron.
Oh well, you see, I don't forget that name. I mean, that's another major one in the yard there.
Jimmy and Joe
Junior, Jimmy and Joe, and you had Sammy and Gilbert. You had even Sammy bigger brother, the Poe, to a lesser extent played Fitzroy, played a part in our life, but Fitzroy was slightly bigger than us. But he would oversee to make sure we're safe. If fellas want to form the fully first and
Packets.
Jeffrey, Rangel, Curtis, Flynn,
and
Royston.
Sandy.
Huh?
The 7 days people, the 7 days. Dave.
Oh, Stanny and Dave, yeah. All right, Stanny, yeah. Stanny, I haven't seen Stanny in moons.
But Johnny, the amount of people talk about their real and truly look like they disappeared out of the country.
They're out of the country. Most of them. Well, Flynn died.
Yeah, that.
I see a whole heap of fellas coming Roseau Central and playing Batman. As you said, they never go in the station. They never pick no glue, they never fire some bell. Nothing in the station, but them play as they did. More Roseau, man. You know what I'm saying? Get it straight. Yeah. But no, hear that again. You don't find the country before the country today is a different country, well, and truly a sense of development.
Well, they're different. Yes, they are.
I don't take too much time to roll up because I'm a fireman. I have a million things to say. But no, Mr. Johnny, now, well and truly, you don't realize when you was playing sports, you wasn't getting nothing, right?
No.
You don't realize right now, man, getting plenty things in sports and man not really doing what they have to do to keep it up and running. Anyhow, Johnny, keep the fire blazing. Fireman listen, use my ambassador for river because nobody can stop you. You can come back when you want. Nobody's not someone that can't come back. They just in the country and they just can't come back. Up and running, fireman running, bless up, I'm listening.
Okay.
Respect, my brother, yeah.
Ericsson, you forget Ericsson. Could you forget Ericsson?
Ericsson, Romain. Another key player with us. Yeah. Thanks, Cecil.
Yes,
like I said to you, I cannot remember everybody, yeah. I can't remember. Ericsson was another key player. We were in the key player in our football experience as well. You know what I mean. Ericsson was a key player. Yeah.
And Roy,
Kello, and Curtis, Flynn, Royston. They were bigger than us.
Yes.
But these people checked for us. You know what I mean. There is. We haven't reached football yet, but there was a time where we used to entertain our parents on the roadside, us. You know what I mean? Playing football on the street, Our parents would sit and enjoy the youngsters.
Like a stadium.
But there were no cars passing, you know what I mean?
Yes,
there were no cars.
Yes, yeah.
You know what I mean? So virtually like for instance Sunday afternoon, this afternoon there's Sunday, some kind of serious competition we'll be playing on the street, you know what I mean? Yeah. And the parents cheering.
Yes. No, Johnny. Let's go back to the Botanic Gardens, which many boys were involved in, including me. Every time I see him, most times I see him, we talk about it. That is T-Boy.
Yes.
And Jeffrey Paquette,
right. Curtis Paquette, right. Jeff, Lennox. I think Lennox Abraham was part of that as well. Curtis Victor was the big boy there. It was
TOG.
Truth, Obedience and Gratitude.
TOG.
Miss Richie.
Miss
Elsie Richie who lived on Cornwall Street.
Right. This red skin, white woman.
Yes.
Caucasian woman.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Right. TOG was a boys club that Miss Richie ran. I only knew it being run by Miss Richie initially, and then Miss Elwin took over, Miss Alfred took over it when Miss Richie couldn't do it anymore. But Miss Richie was able to trap finance, I think, from some people in Canada and England, and she was able to get a whole heap of toys, whether used or new, and not just toys, sporting equipment. Like first time I were put on cricket pads and so, you know what I mean. Miss Richie had cricket bat, pads, wicketkeepers gloves, everything, you know what I mean. And so on a Saturday afternoon we go there and spent a lot of time there in the afternoon playing all sort of different
sports.
And it was not just Virgin and boys, they were boys or Roseau boys,
all Roseau boys,
and it was just play. And Cecil was the king terror in that plane.
You remind me of T-Boy. Every time T-Boy sees me, we start to talk about TOG. He says, Cecil, you are the king terror of that.
You all to control everything, and he never liked to lose. I remember the TOG. That building was destroyed by Hurricane David, I think.
Yes.
The base, the
platform, still
platform is still there. Yeah.
Just imagine how small that was. And
we had so many of us and so many things in there.
We had football, we had baseball, we had basketball, we had
javelin,
everything.
All kind of thing inside there. And also card games and board games. And
you know who I wish could call me now? Rennick Thomas. Rennick Thomas.
Yeah, he was part of that as
because
well.
Rennick Thomas and even T-Boy.
Even Curtis Victor.
Curtis Victor was the head.
He was the chief. He was the head boy.
That Curtis could call us tonight to tell us a little bit about TOG. I mean, that was an amazing.
We need something like that now.
Yes.
There are too many wayward youths around the place.
Good evening, caller.
Yeah. Good night, guys.
That's Chicago.
Yeah, just want to pick up Johnny there, man. Johnny doing a great job. We have a very, very good memory.
Yes.
Yeah, man. Just want to let him know Eugene are the best kite makers in Roseau, man. Nobody could test that. Nobody could test the kite makers of Eugene, man. They were the best. Fellas like Terrence.
Yes.
Terrence Scared.
Yes, I remember Terrence. I call his name and Peter. Black's brother.
Yeah, them man like Jeffrey Douglas. You remember the house with them Douglases, those girls?
No, that I don't remember. No.
That is the empty house here. There's an empty spot now. That house smash up. But
it might be the
they were Douglases. One of the girls married to Pastor Bell.
Okay.
James Bell.
I don't remember the Douglases, no.
Sisters living there. They had one brother. He passed early.
Okay.
We used to call him Mark.
Okay.
Yeah, but Mr. passed early. Them guys were the best kite makers, man. But Johnny, you have a very good memory. I like the vibes. And your house is a house I used to eat too, you know.
Yeah, my house
your house is a house I used to eat food too, you know.
I won't be surprised because
in the house.
I won't be surprised.
Because me and Rudolph grew up a long way, you know. So your imagine always used to leave a little something for me when I come, you know.
Okay.
So don't fret. That is a family. Plenty. I eat food there. I did nice brav there too.
True.
A lady had a nice hand.
Yes,
cooking
Chicago.
well. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
so
man.
don't fret.
No, man. I'm
Just
cool,
keep the spirit, man. I like the vibe.
Yes,
thanks, man.
And you have a very good memory of the system. I keep it going, man. Plenty man can have it like you.
No, Cleville Chillingford. You know Cleville Chillingford?
That name rings a bell.
Yes. This Redskin guy was a vendor. She was doing oxtarin. He said that he too went to TOG.
Okay.
Good evening to you, caller.
Yeah, and you forget Blueflix, man.
Who?
Blueflix.
Blueflix. You remember Blueflix, Cecil?
It's ringing a bell.
Muku's nephew or something. So yeah. Blueflix, yeah, big fat boy. Yeah, Blueflix, that's another boy.
Yes, Muku's his uncle.
Blueflix, that's another troublesome boy.
Yes.
Blueflix is a military man now, you know why.
Yeah. That was another troublesome boy. Muku here was troublesome too, Blueflix was troublesome too, yes.
Man, my loving nephew.
Yeah, Blueflix, yeah. Wilfred.
Yeah.
Wilfred Helmet or something, so that's his name, yeah.
So yes, Johnny, on a Saturday, we had to go by Miss Ritchie.
Yeah.
And Miss Ritchie, this white Caucasian
lady
woman from Cornwall Street, always used to have a nice plaited dress, you know. And I can see her with that
blue little Fiat car.
Yes, that blue Fiat car.
Yeah.
Was she from England or United States?
I would want to think it's England. Yes.
Yes, the accent.
Elsie Ritchie. Yes. I want to think it's England.
Yes, I think she was.
But she was. Oh, I don't remember. You remember Mr. Dan as well? She had this white man with her. Yes. A young man. Mr. Dan, tall.
Yes. What was Mr. Dan to her?
I don't know.
I mean, as boys, we were saying things, you know.
I reckon
Dan was plenty younger than her.
Oh yeah, I reckon he was just volunteering his time with TOG. Yeah, I don't know what he was doing in Dominica, but my impression is that he was just volunteering his time with TOG.
And as we are speaking about TOG, I'm seeing the blue box on the eastern side of the building with all
the games in it.
All the games.
Don't call it a box. There's a name.
Teen. It was a teen.
Yeah, but there's a name we call it. There was a name we call this thing, not the case. The trunk.
The trunk.
Yes,
the trunk.
Correct.
Yeah, the trunk. I was trying to get the
name. That's why all the toys were stolen.
Yes, and then on the other side, on the western side, you would have had this tall thing where you had the various games like Ludo, Sticks and Ladders, and all of these things. But then, you know, Johnny, you too, when you played cricket in those days and you get out, you know, you were not always happy.
Then you were same. You and I were same.
Yes, we were very happy.
Oh, listen, I didn't like to lose either. No.
and that was real good fun in TOG. You know,
indeed, and most of the Virginia boys went to TOG. Most of them,
As a matter of fact, most guys in Roseau, our age,
would have passed through TOG at one point. I don't know how many of them stayed, but quite a few of them. Yeah, but Virginia, to me, at a certain time, TOG was Virginian boys thing anyway. To me, that's my impression of it.
When I went there, I saw guys from River Street.
Yeah. There were guys from all over the place.
All over the place. But I can recall guys from Newton. I think one guy from Newton I remember was Peter Piper. That is the brother of Peter Piper.
The tall Piper.
Tall Piper from Newton. I remember that he used to be there. But guys like T-Boy.
Teebs,
Teebs, you know.
Touching Down, Lennox Abraham, I would want to think was there. All them Curtis Sparkhead and them fellas with it. Jeffrey. That's what Jeffrey said. Jeffrey did have it too.
Jeffrey was in everything.
Jeffrey, Rangel, I reckon Boo Flakes would have been there as well. Boo Flakes before he went to America. Boo Flakes, Koi, Peter.
I think
Sammy Gilbert.
This guy Curtis, we call him Bobbery.
No, Steve. Steve Barron.
Steve Barron.
He was left-hander, yeah.
Yes, he was left-hander.
Yeah, Steve Barron, yeah.
Steve
and Kenneth, I forgot to mention them as well. Steve and Kenneth
is a sailor, right?
He's back in Dominica.
He's back in Dominica.
As a matter of fact, I was speaking to somebody this afternoon, and he said to me, Kenneth is Dominica, he has a bus or something, so.
Oh.
Kenneth lives somewhere in Tucarit outside there.
And his brother lives in Portsmouth?
No, Steve passed away about 2-3 years ago.
You serious?
May his soul rest in peace. Yeah, I remember that, reading his death announcement while I was in England, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so Steve passed away, yeah.
I wanted a guy to call, and I think he's calling. Oh my God, don't tell me I lose him. And he'll call back. Good evening to you, caller.
Hello.
Yes, good evening.
Is that Cecil?
Yes, good evening. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask Johnny from when he heard our baggy open, what he used to run at the band too.
Say that again.
Repeat.
When Johnny would hear our baggy open.
That sounds like my sister Eileen, isn't it?
No, that's Marilyn.
Oh, Marilyn, yeah. Okay, yeah, I know. My grandfather. My grandfather was a baker. My grandfather, my mother, that is. My grandfather, my mother was a baker. After Rainy, and he baked by the Nicholses. Nichols had a bakery in the yard down there, innit? And so anytime I hear the baguette, my grandfather used to bring sweetie for us, or for me, or for us. And so anytime I hear, no matter who opens the baguette, that's where my grandfather would enter. I'm running, shouting, Daddy, Alpha, you bring City on me? Yes, and Rufy always tease me about
that. At that time you couldn't talk, man?
I couldn't talk proper. I was probably a toddler, innit? So I was a toddler. I don't remember that, to be honest with you. That I don't remember. But Rufy always used to remind me of that and freak out on me. Yeah. Daddy, Alpha, you bring City on me?
No. Someone says to remember Cletus Augustine, and also Perry Payne was also
yes.
COG.
Yes, Perry was
Perry actually was living on the hill.
Right on the hill there.
Yeah.
Perry, you can probably consider a Virgin boy
yes.
at some point.
He had a brother that was a teacher, Richie.
Yes.
No,
was that his brother? Richie wasn't his brother.
What is
Richie lived on the other side of the street on the hill.
Oh, Perry lived
Anthony Richie.
Anthony Richards.
Yeah.
Yes, Anthony Richards lived on the
other side of the road, yeah.
On the western,
on the western.
And Payne, you're right. Payne lived inside that cool.
By my Henry there.
By my Henry.
The sticky tablet lady, yeah.
And the how you call this hard thing again?
Unbreakable.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. Mario Murphy said hello.
Okay.
You know Mario, right? Mario lived in Fields Lane.
Yes, yeah. Red Malik by Clement them there.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, man.
And Peter Dover is listening. All in Canada.
Okay.
So I was saying that I want my cousin Rennie to call because Rennie could tell us a little bit about TOG and Acolyte.
Or Curtis Victor would tell us more about TOG.
I really like Curtis Victor. Good evening to you, caller. Good evening.
Evening.
Good evening.
Is the program going on?
Yes, ma'am, you can speak. Go ahead.
Excuse?
Yes, you can go ahead, speak.
With that?
Go ahead, speak, caller.
Oh, yes, I'm just calling to Johnny.
That sounds like Iris. That sounds like Iris.
That's my Iris.
Yeah.
In Kinfield.
Yeah, wicked. Nice calling, Iris. Thank you very much.
All
original. That's my mother's good boja, yeah.
And I'm the home person.
Yes.
I even have one of them that's my godchild there.
Yeah.
Sisi.
Zabu.
Yeah, Zabu, yeah.
Iris for Zabu.
Yeah.
One side me there.
Cecil.
Oh, Cecil, yes, Virgin Lane. That's my home. I miss my gym.
Iris.
I miss my gym, bro. Anyway, I have my little mill there. So I miss her very much. That's my very good friend.
Very good friend.
Iris, you remember what you used to tell us when you come and get Quiddy? Iris put on me, boy. I wanted to ask Iris that question.
Iris. That's what my mother's boja. My mother had 3 bojas. 4 actually. 4 bojas. It was Medvilliers, Timothy, Norris, Iris. There was Maugis, and there was there's Bain as well. There's Lady Bain. We call her Bain. Louvain. She was Louvain Thomas. She's Louvain Antoine and Emzol, her mother. That was my mother's boja as well.
Let's go to the telephone again. Good evening to you, caller. Good evening, caller. Good evening to you, caller. I'm sorry that you have to call back. Yes. Now, Johnny, we have spoken about TOG, we have spoken about Koi, we have spoken about Virgin.
I haven't tell you about making sec yet, nah.
But that's how it's going to come too.
Okay.
That's how it's going to come too. Now, Johnny, as boys growing up, you know, we made kites.
Sec was the first thing we made. Sec was the first
we
thing.
had we also had wheelbarrows. Some people may not even remember that when our parents would be doing their little chores, go and get stones and so on. We used to get the neighbor wheelbarrow too, and put it on the side of the gutter, on the edge of the gutter, to see who was the most balanced with a lot of load.
Yeah.
Give us your story.
Right. So one of the first toys, first of all, Addison and I were creative because we watched our father. Our father had a drawer of tools. My father was no backward man. My father did things with his hands. As a matter of fact, my father used to have a whole heap of goat skins drying at the back of the house, on the side of the house, at the back of the house, drying. So when it's carnival time comes, my father would repair Lakou carpet drums or...
Just hold on. Guess at them who's saying hello to you. Sammy Garawi.
Wicked.
Sammy.
Yeah, man.
Good evening to my classmate, my bass guitarist of the St. Mary's Academy Band. That was...
We've done a lot of things together.
Yes, my brother. Sammy, I know when we were growing up, you know, Sammy was such that handsome guy.
Sammy,
that many of us wanted to look like Sammy. Remember?
Sammy was unique. Sammy was right-handed but batted left.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That was kind of unique.
Also a big ring.
Sammy,
yes.
Wicked. Respect Sammy. Thanks for calling, man. Yeah, man.
Yes, go ahead. So you're talking about...
So, Daddy, we grew up seeing our father doing things. My father had his tools, his screwdriver, his saw, his hammer and thing. You know what I mean? And he used to hang up goat skins. Daddy used to go to the countryside and buy goat skins and hang them up on the wall. Or people that own the drum to give him the goat skins to cure, and he'd carry them on the side of the house. So come, say Carnival is February, some January, so my father have a whole heap of drums repairing. Lakou carpet drums, or even snare drums, bass drums, and so. Daddy was a drum repairer as well. But a lot of it was goat skin, Lakou carpets and thing. And so he had tools.
You want to hold that for because he's trying to get that guy's trying to get us for the
Sammy?
No. Rennie Thomas, good evening.
Yes, sir. I've been trying to
Is that right?
for a long time.
Go on, Rennie.
I've been trying to, boy, Johnny, nice seeing you.
Yes, yes.
Although I'm older than you, but you look a little bit older than me.
Rennie has to give somebody a blast. Rennie love to give somebody a blast. Go ahead, sir.
I have to call because I kind of associate myself with that program.
Yeah.
You know, from the river Saturday and Sunday thing. It was a communal.
Man.
It's a communal gathering because the side of if you look at the river, there are two sides. One facing the Bath Estate area and one by the garden station.
Yes. Yeah, station.
So that path was strictly people from Virgin Lane.
Yes. Indeed.
And the other side was Cork Street,
Hillsborough Street,
Boys Avenue, and all that area. And it was also a Catholic community because that was the dominant force at the time, religion at the time.
Indeed.
So when one meet, neighbor, bonjour, hello, Sunday morning, after service, everybody having their own conversation. Number two, Daddy James. I know this man very well. I know Rudolph. It was a strong, you say he was Spartanite to the bone?
Yeah, boy.
Rudolph was a Kensbronite to the bottom. Trust me. And he was the one that was always by Daddy James.
Yeah.
Every time I was a newspaper delivery boy, Apple and Chronicle. So whenever I knocked that door, I had 3 knocks. Pap, pap, pap. Rudolph would say, Daddy James, papers. And he'd give me a quart and tell me to keep the 5 cents.
Yeah.
And that would contribute to my Mastiff collection from Boboy. Zabo was the next part, you know. And I believe Mazabo, I don't know if I'm correct. I think that lady hailed from Mount Prosper.
Yes, I reckon there's some connection there. Yes.
Because Iris that just called.
Yes.
And
Carol.
From
From yes.
Yes. She's part of my family. I know she came from Mount Prospect.
Yeah, I reckon there had to be some Mount Prospect connection for you. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
And not only ironic as you're saying that, if you remember that all the trucks from Mount Prospect, that's where they used to come and pack up to get their passengers.
By Zabu.
Yeah, there was a lady born to in Cox Street, and then they come down by Zabu and pick them up. Go to a little, what they call it, Kings Lane. Yeah, by Teacher Rose area there, park that truck, pick up some there, and go up to Mount Prospect.
Yeah.
It was come, they turn down to Cox Street, put down one set by Bonto, my Bonto shop, another set by Zabu, and it was a rotation.
Yeah.
Up to Mount Prospect, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
Jing, your uncle was another one. Carnival fanatic. And that was one guy I gave total respect during Carnival. Because Rosa was a dark area once upon a time. Jinping dressed like a skeleton.
Boom. That's the first man I know dressing like masquerade, trust me. Yeah.
I'm telling you. And this guy just made an appearance in the street while I was coming down. Bro, God save the Queen. The rest is history. Because he had a friend they used to call Mr. Leonard.
Yes. Oh, he's batting partner. Yeah. Mr. Christian.
Right.
Mr. Christian, yeah.
Yeah, we get Avenue in by Waller Street, Kennedy Avenue.
No, he feels them by. You're talking.
He gets Avenue, man. His head big, his eyes big, his nose big. Joti and them fathers.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, these were the free guys when they sit down in Silverton and Cox Street and drink.
And bat. Jeez.
Serious bat.
Yeah, my uncle used to drink a lot. Yeah.
Yes, trust me. And Cecil, for your confirmation, Peter Piper originated in Cox Street before he went to Newtown.
Okay, thanks for that.
Okay. Wait, he was a Piper. Yeah. Mr. Piper's son, isn't it?
Yeah, he's
he was staying in the same cool by Robin and them.
Okay.
Oh yes. Where the Christian is there.
Yeah.
Where the Christian is there at the back. Yes.
And obviously, Acolyte Session. It was something from Tutti Gis, was that Dumfries guy. Then it went to Bernard Joseph, Moran Seas. Then it went to Virgin Lane.
Yeah.
Then it came to Cox Street. So I can align myself with that kind of conversation.
Yeah, man.
The real black one, you have the pioneer and the authentic listener Muku. If there's any error versus Chicago, they will put me straight to that.
Yeah.
Have a nice night. I'm listening.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling, Rennie. Thanks. Nice to hear your voice, my boy. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Respect.
We'll talk about the football later.
All right. Yeah. I just want to say that Alexander Hodge said to you, Johnny, that he's listening. Al himself was a sprinter.
Oh yes. I
think he was in St. Francis House. Yes,
I don't know. Anyway, I'll leave that back in the Virgin Lane, innit?
Yes, he was
back in the Virgin Lane.
By Virgin Lane
and Cross
Lane. By Shillingford. Shillingford.
What is the name? Darling Shop.
Darling Shillingford.
Darling Shop.
Shillingford. By the Methodist Church.
So I'll at good times with venture and Virgin and Pavers as well. Yes. Sometime, yeah.
Good evening to you, caller.
Yeah, it's not Jinping, it's Jinping.
Was it?
Jinping.
Jinping. Like the Jinping Bella quadrille and thing. Jinping, yeah. It's Jinping,
yeah. I always know Alan now. He used to have a still up in Lakou before I go down the street.
My famous uncle, yeah, man.
He's the same.
Jinping, yeah. Alan Henry, famous uncle, yeah. And he was a musician as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a musician as well, yeah.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks
for that, yeah.
No, Johnny, so you're talking about sec.
Yeah, so because my daddy had tools, we would borrow his tools to make our sec. And the first sec I recall making was first of all, we used the milk tin covers. So you had the Dutch lady on Dutch baby or whatever, and the covers would be the wheel for the sec, and use a bevel to prevent the nail from going through the cover to preserve the sec. So we started with the one wheel sec. So you have a piece of stick, most likely with an old broomstick or something it would have been, and would nail that one thing on it. So that was the start. After we started getting bigger, we started it moved from one wheel to a two wheel, and you'd put cascades and attach the bobbin, and that would be the steering.
Yes.
Right? And so we progressed with that
and
for a while.
We would still have the bobbin, and we still have the cover
again to do the steering, Of course, or a piece of wood.
Yes.
And put another bobbin on the edge of the piece of wood, and that would be the steering. Right. Now, the other thing we did was the sec was either a bicycle rim, an old bicycle rim, or an old motorcycle rim, or we would take a piece of hose, cut a piece of hose, make it into a circle, and get a piece of timber, a piece of wood, and use that to fuse the two of them together and make it circular, and that would be our sec as well. And now you have to have some skills on the sec, because the gutters on Virgin Lane, I know about other streets of Roseau, but the gutters on Virgin Lane had this ledge on the home sides of the building.
Many gutters in Roseau.
Got this little thin ledge, about what? 2.5 feet? No, probably let's say about 3 inches wide, and the most.
Yes.
And the skill was to keep the sec along that ledge for the entire length of the ledge.
Competition time.
Proper things, man. Some serious. You know how much greasy I get because I fall in and greasy my ankle because I'm trying. You know what I mean? Listen.
Yes. And not only that, you had to use a piece of wood to beat that
to push it,
so that you can get it to balance
and to keep rolling
and have your hand going left and right, making sure that it doesn't drop off.
And I'm sure we're not the only kids done that, but on Virgin, that was the first set of toys. Well, to me, that was the first set of toys.
Then remember, you had the big car tires.
And then Rudolph, there came a time when Rudolph started building trucks, and there's no. You see them kind of trucks, them preschool children. I've been here for some carnival time, and the kids have some trucks pushing around the road and things.
Yes.
You see them kind of trucks there they have there. That is nothing in comparison to what Rudolph built.
Yeah.
Not me. I couldn't build a truck like that.
Yes.
Rudolph, my brother, built some trucks. Rudolph used to take the old oil cans. You made oils used to come in quarts and the cans. We used to open the cans and build a body for the truck and everything from that can and thing. You know what I mean? And he used to use some wheels, some rubber wheels, and listen. So much so, there a couple of times, man, come and thief our trucks, because no one knows how them kind of trucks I got. Just me and my brother, you know what I mean? And Rudolph, you know what I mean? And man, come and thief our trucks, right?
But the sec one with the big tires, that too was amazing. Where you had to take 2 long sticks,
and push,
and
our mother stopped us from using that particular one. I'll tell you why. Another in the yard bathroom by my grandmother. There was this guy Cornelius had an accident with that sec, that one, and it penetrated his stomach, and his intestines were protruding and thing. So from that time, my mother didn't like us doing that particular one.
But this one is very dangerous.
Yes,
because you have to actually put
grease in the tire,
and you have the stick pushing.
And
some persons used to put an extra tin.
A tin in there.
So it could not really hurt you.
After Bedu had that accident, my mother didn't really like hurt her boys with that particular one.
But Johnny, what did that do for us as boys?
I guess it helped our coordination.
Yes.
Our coordination, yeah. I think that primarily our coordination, probably our speed, is because you had to run with them things. You had to race. You had to race with them things, you know what I mean? So,
and you have to analyze certain things to find out whether you can go through this. You know, you have to go through some thin areas if you're set.
Coordination.
And you really have to do hand coordination. It was not easy. So yes. And what about kite? Kite making.
Kite making was another thing we enjoyed, and I think, like I said to you, initially it was what used to call him again? Spice was the first person that really taught us how to make kites. But after a while, all the bigger boys started showing us Magnus, Waggy, and so taught us how to make kites. We used to go by Spartans and buy the kite paper. And we used to use flour to stick the things together. Remember, we make the flour paste and stick it together. Yeah. We also used to make the kites with the plastic as well.
But sometimes when packing shed is open, packing shed used to have that white paper.
We used to make kites as well, yeah. But a lot of us, unfortunately, we used to go down by Asvans and buy kite paper, a big sheet. And so we've taught 3 of us put together a little penny or whatever. Each of us getting a kite from it, plus frills and everything,
And we go by Nassif and buy our bobbin of 100 yards, bobbin
100 yards was nothing, yourself. 500 yards.
500, sorry.
500 yards. 100 yards is jokes.
Yeah, 500.
Yeah. 500
And
yards.
sometimes, what we'd do, something, especially on a Sunday, we'd go on the bayfront. Not as it is today.
No.
We'd have gone by the bayfront and we say our kite is going to the United States of America. Right. And we just send messages.
Telegrams.
But Cecil,
yes.
It's not only 500, you have the 1,000
yards too. Listen, Cecil, that's something.
I tell you, when you're flying kite with 100 yards, you're not flying.
Yeah, the 100 yards is nothing.
Yeah.
1,000
and the truth is, there was certain times we couldn't even bother to bring the kite back in. We just burst it and let it go. You know what I mean? Yeah, you just couldn't be bothered to bring it in because it's so far away. Sometimes this car kite is so far away you can't even see it. You know what I mean?
And sometimes if you stay in Virgin Lane and you're doing your kite and you have the 1,000 yard, so your kite is all down Cadia when you go in.
If you're going to see, or something all over the sea, listen.
And you know what was fun about this thing was boys used to say we're going to
cast kite. Yeah, man. We used to cast other people's kites. Yeah, indeed.
And was it past too close?
Yeah, you cast.
We put in too heavy.
Objects.
Too soon.
On a string, and that's where and bring the kite down. Cast it. Yeah.
You have a hammock.
Yes.
Yeah. That was quite common, man. Casting man kite and thing.
Your sister said, Johnny, that your guy when toys were given to you, that you would dismount the toys.
My mother is
by the afternoon. But if you get in the morning, by the afternoon you have to dismount it.
My mother is calling me a destroyer. Yes. Because, for instance, we used to get this little motorized boat. Like I said to you, we were poor, yeah, but we had all little special things getting, yeah. So I'd get this little motorized boat. them speedboat with engine and this.
Yeah.
You're joking. My mother get to me at 3 o'clock this afternoon. By 6 o'clock, I dismantle that, trying to figure out how that motor works in her ass.
That is amazing.
It's not a joke. And after I try to put it back together again, you know what I mean? Well, my mother called me a destroyer, yeah.
And someone said that Johnny, carnival time, these guys used to lie on the street with a block or stones on their stomach, and another guy with a long hammer would hit it on the block or the stone and break it on the person, and after this they would get up and continue to dance. Jinping used to do that.
I don't remember. I don't remember, to be honest with you. I cannot say I remember that. That is remember, when my uncle we were youngsters, so people who would know my uncle long before me and know these things. But I don't remember my uncle doing.
Right.
First of all, my father used to try to make sure Uncle Alan doesn't see us, because he knows a confusion going to happen there when he sees his nephews and his nieces, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Under his galbanzo, you know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
It's a little wrong information. It was like Jute tablet, it's to say Indian, and it's not on top of the sellers.
Right. Mr. Pond.
Port of the sellers. This was Indian fellow called Jute tablet. From Port of the He was used from the fisherman from Port of the
He's breaking up.
And he was Indian, and then I was stood on a man for touch on top of it, underneath it, and then I started big the stone, and then he look in there, and then he making donation, making donation to the demon.
Well,
Thank you.
Well, the guy who used to do that for Pottersville was Dixie. That's Doddle's father, Mr. Pond, that originated from Antigua. So what they did was, the first thing they did was to bake the stone. They went by the bake the stone so that the stone got weak, and then they put a torch on your stomach. They play like wild Indians, and they take a sledgehammer and they dance around, and the guy lie down and put the stone, and they smash the stone on your stomach. Dixie.
That part I don't remember Uncle Alan being.
And your Uncle Alan was one of them too.
I don't remember that. I'm
drinking his rum and have that too.
I know you're a batsman, yeah. Nah.
But now, Johnny, you spoke on the promo. You spoke about your park, the park,
St. Martin's Schoolyard.
St. Martin's Schoolyard.
That was park. We called the park. Before it was St. Martin's Schoolyard, to me it was park. So when I would say the boys say we're going in park, it's not Windsor Park, it's the St. Martin's Schoolyard. That was one of our major playing grounds. And let me tell you, St. Martin's Schoolyard had some corridors, yeah. And let's say they were about 7 feet wide, roughly speaking. Yeah, at the most. And Cecil, we had to play 2 against 2, 1 against 1 there, and go past a man. That's why I probably could dribble so well as well. Because in that little space there, you had to learn to go past a man. And you're not allowed to hit the ball on the wall and run after it. You get me? You're not doing a wall pass with the ball. You had to dribble past the man. And there were competitions. It's either 1-on-1, and the first to score to 3 would win, and then somebody else comes in, or the first to score wins and somebody comes. So there was that competition. We played a lot of in the St. Martin schoolyard, a lot. And we flew a lot of kite in there, kite, marble hole, but a lot of football. And then when we got bigger, so when I say bigger, that time we will say probably almost nearing going to secondary school. And so we started playing things like volleyball in the schoolyard with the girls, because I think Havis is to come and teach them. Havis Young Folks come and teach them. So we started playing volleyball, and then tennis. So Park was the schoolyard. Also another thing, man wondered why could Johnny head the ball so well. Cecil, we played a lot of heading competition in the corridors of St. Martin's School.
With win ball, right? Or
win ball, any kind of ball there was. Sometimes even bloody grapefruit.
Yes.
My man, we used to take the grapefruit all from the way from packing shed, kicking it up the road to Virgin Lane, or passing it to each other, or juggling it all the way to Virgin Lane. Yes. But we played in St. Martin in Park. Park was just the yard for playing. We played. We were not destructive. We didn't destroy the school's things and so. Believe me, we didn't. At least not my crew. We played. We used this yard for playing. It was a safe place to play. Also the Park had probably. And the thing about Park is that when we finished playing the schoolyard, we going across, jump in the yard by Boozy to take Boozy mangoes, or to go in the Union Club to go after the mangoes in the Union Club, because the Union Club had a set of mangoes as well. But the St. Martin schoolyard was important part in all youth man who grew up on Virgin Lane's life. Everyone, bar none.
I think you need to tell us a little bit about the park, the structures that were in the park, because a lot of people know just the present structure, but some persons may not know that was the primary school, that house also
vocational section.
The original. Some persons did not know that Raymond Lawrence and them also practice in that area.
In the vocational section. Yes. Okay, so the original section of the school is along the eastern side of the eastern section, which is like an L. So starts on Virgin Lane, goes up south, and then it turns kind of right. That the oldest part of the building of the St. Martin School.
Hold on. Let's take it again. What I remembered is the eastern side of the school. That was the first spot. If you remember, before they built the edge on Virgin Lane.
No, that was the one. There's an older structure there that before that.
Right, that's what I'm saying. There's an older structure.
Yes,
right.
It forms an L.
It forms an L, yeah.
Yes, with a step, with the big step.
The big step coming down.
Yes,
right.
So that's the older section.
So where they had the Virgin Mary's
statue on the roof there.
On the roof there.
Yeah. That's the older. That to me, that's the older section. At the end of that, there was what we call the cafeteria and the vocational section.
Correct.
Cafeteria. Hurricane David destroyed that part of it. Yeah, yes. But this was the cafeteria, and that was, and there was also that section you're talking about, which was built in my time, because I remember that being built, and so
on Virgin Lane.
Yes, and that part has been knocked down and something new has been built now.
Right.
Yes, but that was there as well. Yeah, and so there was a nice little corridor as well. So they had a corridor where we played. That's where we played most of the heading, but most of the dribbling was on the other one.
Yeah. And I can say to them that the new section that has been built was actually built by a guy from Belgium, Bernard.
Yes, he shot.
He also built St. Mary's Primary.
Yeah.
So Bernard did that job. So I just wanted people to know that it has not been what it is all.
No.
Those days you had Sister Bodger.
For now the whole yard is paved, my man.
Yes, and those days had a lot of stones. Stones like not gravels, stones, not gravels.
But we used to go and catch butterflies in there, and
yes,
kind of things.
In the middle had an office space.
Yes, that piece is that was the school office. It was upstairs down a wooden structure.
Yes,
that has always been there.
Right,
yes.
In the middle.
That was the office space.
Right,
yes.
that was the office
and
space.
They had some secretarial classes doing that, the typewriters and all that.
Right.
Yeah.
And then as we said, the entrance where we see the school is now on the independent side. Mm-hmm. There was the vocational section.
Yes, right next to Boozy.
Painted in grey, brown.
Yes, it used to be some kind of pinkish, kind of
yes,
kind of brownish. Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
Raymond Lawrence and them used to practice.
Used to train there.
Kubuli used to do all the dancing right there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
At that time, the vocational section used to do quite a lot of accounting.
And typing and home
economics,
because we call it the cafeteria.
Right.
We call that section the cafeteria.
And the name vocational section actually meant they were actually doing vocational aspects. Schools.
Cooking, sewing.
Things,
And during that time, you had a local lady there, teaching as well, Miss Deloney.
Miss Deloney, yes.
She eventually became the principal.
Yeah, that's right.
Miss Deloney was there.
Yes.
Sister, I remember First I remember Sister Borgia.
Yes, I too.
First I remember in my, maybe others will remember this. The first Sister Borgia, then it was Sister Ann, and then it was Miss Deloney.
No. So you said that you would have started doing at an early stage, your soccer. Football, that's what we call it. Football, not soccer. That's what the Metropolitans.
Football.
Football. We played our football there. As you said, you did headers, especially in the little corridor.
In the corridor,
yeah. There's this corridor that you would use for the goalpost.
No, that on the goalpost. We had only small goals, but the important part of the
corridor. The heading.
Within the corridor. No, heading. Yeah, for heading, yes.
For the heading, yes. Where the column is?
The columns would be the goals, yeah.
Yes.
The goalposts,
so we have to be careful that we do not bounce ourselves.
Okay, would the column. How much time would
the column?
Cecil, you know what burst I get playing football on the street and in that yard there, you know what I mean? I pay a lot of taxes on the concrete there, you know what I mean? Guiji, you know.
So that was your pack?
That was pack for us. Not my pack, that was pack for us.
Yes.
Yeah. All them youngsters on Virgin called it, referred to the St. Martin Schoolyard as pack. Nobody called it St. Martin Schoolyard.
And that gate has been there on Virgin Lane
ever since I know myself. So
I
say, Sammy, let's go in park. Or Jerry, let's go in park. Or Jimmy, you don't come in park this afternoon, let's go park, you know what I mean? It's park. And
would you remember 1978 with the trade show there?
Boy, how you mean, no man, yourself? Dominica never had anything like that before, since, innit? Never had anything like that since.
Yeah.
That was, for us, that was exceptional, you know what I mean? That was.
But by that time, there was the man shop. So you had the man shop with by Trini.
Yeah, that was exceptional. That was done by Patrick John, innit?
Yes, it was done by Patrick John, and you had
Prevo and them and Cheryl and Gregor. Yeah, they were key players in that.
By Trini.
Yeah. Prevo had by Trini and Cheryl Gregor.
That was huge. That trade show was huge. Maybe because we were children, it felt that way. But to me, it was huge. And they used to have some big concerts that night.
Yes, as a matter of fact, the same stage that they used for Independence, they had it in that same thing.
That was huge, Cecil. That trade show, international trade show, that was
really huge.
I don't think they've ever had anything like that in Dominica since.
No, I've never seen that again.
Yeah, but that was exceptional. Another thing about that St. Martin Schoolyard for us after Hurricane David. I don't think there were any kids around Roseau who was happy as the Virgin Lane children on Virgin Lane in Roseau, because our parents and the bigger boys worked in the Tropicraft where all the relief came in. Tropicraft was like the center of relief.
It was the center of Brogodo, man.
Indeed, that's where the term Brogodo came from. Yeah,
Brogodo.
And so we wanted for nothing, because we got the bigger boys who helping and our parents, my father, who else helped there, and so they come home with stuff, all the nice little goodies, you know what I mean? And also too, we were the best dressed kids in town.
Mavolny was there
because we got all the Brogodo in it.
Yes, because I mean, right there, Mavolny. So
in Tropicraft,
who knew some of us.
Tropicraft was
and we would go there and do a little help.
Tropicraft was the center of operations.
Yes. I'm just saying center of operations, Johnny. I know that you said that you always turn Catholic, and that you will get Bulgar and Clean and
man, regular works, from the social center. And there was a kind of special kind of butter oil kind of thing.
Bulgar.
Social center.
Yes. So
that tin.
So you knew that.
Oh yeah.
You were part of that.
There was a sweetie. There's a special kind of sweetie boy we used to get. My man, now so good there. From the priest. I that period of time, the recovery period after Hurricane David, for I don't know for anybody else, but for the Virgin boys and myself that grew up, we were about 14, 15 them times there. We had a really swell of a time after Hurricane David, my man. I can never deny that. Yeah, we did. We had a really good time. We had balls, like all because everything was coming to the release center. So the bigger boys and the fathers of the others and uncles and so on, make sure we had stuff, you know what I mean? Yeah.
And you remember the Chronicle?
Well, we sell newspaper paper. Listen, you see 1978 independence, Dominica independence. As a child, at the 14...
You want to take the mic and bring it a little bit closer to you.
At the 14, 15-year-olds, I say we made I personally made a lot of money selling the newspapers, the New Chronicle, and the Independence magazine. Do you remember that Independence magazine?
Yes.
I made a whole heap of money selling in, and not just that. Also, we used to collect bottles.
Yes.
The beer bottles and the Coke bottles.
Yeah.
And
yes, and bottle tops.
We made a lot.
You the bottle tops?
Yes.
And
sometimes they were like letters, and you had to form a word, and then when you form a word, you take it down, you get a prize or whatever. Yeah.
And the bottles, you had to pick it up and get something like 5 cents, 10 cents.
So we did a lot of bottles. Yeah, I sold a lot of newspaper chronicles. Also, too, I used to. By that time, I'm at academy. That time, I'm at second form, third form.
You can remember the accident that Joe had?
Yes. I wasn't there at the time, but I remember that accident. Yes.
He got his foot.
Yes. Yeah, he lost his foot right on the steps by the Chronicle. Yeah.
He was a police officer that
Joe. I haven't seen Joe in a long time.
He lives in Pong.
Okay, he's still alive.
Joe is very well alive.
I haven't seen him in a while. Yeah, man.
Joe he was a Christian Union Mission member.
He used to sell
chronicles.
Things. Stevie Bopier.
Yes. Oh yes, Stevie Bopier is around, you know.
I know.
I remember Stevie Bopier. I saw him the last time I saw him was in La Plaine.
That's where he lives.
Stevie says to me that's where he lives.
Stevie Bopier.
Yeah, and I mean Stevie was the son of a police.
Mr. Bopier.
Follow the drips. Follow the drips.
He used to drive the president.
Yes, follow the drips.
Yeah, he was the president. He was the president. The governor.
He drove the governor.
He was driving the governor. Went by the governor's place.
And he nicked the paint. And
he nicked the paint. And the paint fell.
And the leak. And the newspaper had a field day with a cartoon. You remember the cartoon?
Yes, follow the drips.
Follow the drips.
And the drips ended by Astafans.
by his home.
I never said that his home. The drips ended up
by Astafans.
You know? And the follow the drips was the name of all the boys on Mr. Bopier. So Stevie Bopier, when people see him, is follow the drips.
I don't know if Frankie will remember that. The last boy, Frankie won't.
No, Frankie was not born yet.
Frankie, he was born, but he was probably a little child. Yeah.
Good evening.
I must ask him when I see him, Frankie.
Good evening. Good evening. Sorry about that. Yes, follow the drips, man. That was sensational.
Yes, that was big news, man.
Everybody knew that, you know. Follow the drips. Ended up by Astafans. Now, Johnny, let's go a little bit into the soccer. I know that you. Before I go to soccer, let's talk about you in primary school, getting yourself into high school. Give us that transition.
Right, my school days. After Miss Burton's school, I went to Rosa Mix Infant, and I think I did 2 years there to Standard 1. And I got skipped from Standard 1 straight to Standard 3. So I didn't do a Standard 2. So from mixed school, after Standard, I must have spent up 2 or 3 years in mixed school. Probably 3 years. Must be more than 2. 3 years in mixed, 4 years in mixed school. And then I got sent to Standard 1 in mixed school. And
hold on, Johnny. If you went to Miss Burton, then you went to Rosa Mix Infant School.
Yeah, I went after Miss Burton.
On Cock Street.
Yeah, man.
So you are going to ABC class?
No,
we call it.
I didn't go ABC. No.
So you didn't go to ABC?
No, because we had done the ABC at Miss Burton already.
Okay.
We had done ABC at Miss Burton, so I didn't go ABC.
So you started in.
It's probably middle section.
Middle section.
That's what it's called.
That's what it's called. Middle section.
Yes.
So ABC and middle section, and then head teacher.
Miss Tavernier was the teacher.
Yes, and then head teacher. Yeah. From head teacher, veranda.
So veranda was Standard 1.
That's how we call it.
Yes. So from veranda, I went to Rosa Girls School Standard 3.
Okay, so you didn't go in Standard 2?
No.
It was a girls' school? No. Okay.
And all that time, so all through mixed school, I was coming out first in class all the time until I got skipped from Standard 1 to Standard 3. And the first term, I think I came 12th, and the second term, third, and the third term first or something so. But that's the only time in my primary school days I didn't come first in the class, was in Standard 3. Yeah, and then I went to boys. So from Standard 3, went to boys' school, but boys' school.
Standard 3C, Standard 3D, Standard 3A, Standard 3B.
It must have been B, but my teacher was Norrin Joseph.
No, Norrin Joseph, or you're in B?
Noreen was my teacher.
Yes.
Noreen Joseph,
Yeah, I was in B.
That was my teacher in Standard 3.
So at that time, so Mrs. Linton was the principal?
Yes, I think so. I think Mrs. Linton was the principal, if my memory served me right,
Yes.
But Noreen Joseph was my teacher in Standard 3.
It was 3B.
Yeah, and then during that, while we were in Standard 3, about to go into Standard 4, the Rota Boys School in Rota burned down.
Yes, so you had to go to school.
1 to 5.
1 to 5.
And that is where the football really, really kick off, because by that time you're a big boy, 9, 10 years, 8, 9, 10 years, and everybody, all youngsters were into football. And then you had the parking shed there.
Mm-hmm.
And we couldn't afford balls, so the grapefruit was the football.
Yes.
It was the football, it was the cricket ball. And so, because at that time, it was primarily football and cricket we played as kids in terms of sports. Basketball came later on at the academy, but football and cricket. And I remember after school, we went to school in the afternoons, because the girls' school went there in the mornings and the boys' school guys went there in the afternoon from 1 to 5. From 5 o'clock after school, we go to the parking shed, or wherever they dump the reject grapefruits, and we'd run the grapefruits all the way to Virgin Lane. Passing, kicking, and so. But Rosa Girls' School was also... At Rosa Girls' School, we also played a lot in the Windsor Park. And one of my earliest memories of the Windsor Park is the Christmas butterflies, which you don't have anymore. Do you remember that?
You just see a lot of that.
We don't have that. That's gone in Dominique. I haven't seen that in...
and we used to actually catch the butterflies.
And there's the yellow kukuli.
And put them in a jar.
And the yellow kukuli.
And yes.
You remember the kukuli too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And the kukuli was really nice. The yellow kukuli.
Yeah, we open it and the red seeds.
I mean, it is strange that when you take the leaf itself to boil, was a cooling.
Yeah. That's right.
But the yellow seed was sweet.
Yeah, the yellow fruit, you open it and you get the red seeds.
And you're sucking it. It was sweet.
And another thing that was common in the when the darkness started to were the fireflies, the label.
Yes, label.
Like, we don't see those things anymore.
Label.
I haven't seen them.
Do you have that in Colihona?
Not I've noticed, no.
Oh my, they
but,
all
but
gone.
I know for sure we used to have a lot of butterflies, and what was rare in terms of the butterflies, is a species that had several colors.
A variety. There were variety there.
Yeah.
Cecily, we used to go on. There was a time we even used to go and hunt for bees.
Yes.
The japs. We call it japs.
Yes.
Jep.
Yes. The jep. Yeah, japs. Yeah, the jeps. And when you see they hold you, we used to say, do not let the female catch you. Because anytime the female catch you, all of them will follow you.
So I played a lot at the Windsor Park and football and thing and cricket. Yeah.
So now you sat common entrance.
Yes, I sat common entrance. Listen, which is strange though. I never did well at common entrance. So all the bright I was bright at primary school. The first time they sent me to common entrance, I got a supplementary. My mother said, "No, Pala, she don't." And besides, I was young at the time still, so I could have stayed another year. The second year I got to see the common entrance, I get another supplementary. But I was a bright boy at school, but I just had this phobia for exams, writing exams. I just didn't do well in the common entrance exams. And then I got to the academy, and that was it. I never really read a book or studied much at the academy. I just played all my way through the academy. No word of a lie. I just played. And in between the playing came the football growth. So because even before I started the academy, so about 1972, I started being my uncle's ball boy. Because Uncle Vivian became the national youth coach. Yeah, national youth coach. And so when he was training the youths, the youngsters, I had to make sure that all the balls were well pumped at his home in Fields Lane. Make sure all the balls were pumped, had the right amount of air in it, and that I knew exact number of footballs that we took from home to go to the Windsor Park. And that when we came back, that I had to account for all the balls. If any is missing, before I left the Windsor Park, I had to make him know that the ball is missing and whatever the case may be. Yeah, so that influence was there. And for instance, let's say football training session was say 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 3:30. By 2 o'clock, Uncle Vivian and I were getting things ready. And so while we were waiting for the players to come, I'd get my little one-on-one sessions, technical. That's why a lot of people say to me that I'm very good technically in the football, and that's part and parcel of it. Having said that too, I also spent the same corridors of the St. Martin schoolyard, their park. I spent a lot of time in that schoolyard on these corridors, Johnny and himself alone, and Johnny and his boys and them. because we all were football. We were all football fanatics at that time. So if I wouldn't wait for them to be there with me. I would go and they would join later, or Felix would be there already, or Beatles would be there already, because we all loved football, playing football. So we wouldn't wait for anybody for us to go and play, because we had a wall and you have a ball. You're on the wall, do your thing, and that helped a lot in the development of my technical skills. So I spent a lot. And my mother said, Johnny Pabu's a person push you peeves up. And if I also master of balloy, I mean, he plays football, you know what I mean? Because I just played with the ball on the wall a lot.
So you get to St. Mary's Academy, you're in St. George's House.
Oh my goodness. And my SMA playing days, I did play cricket for SMA under 13. But somewhere along the line, I developed a fear for the hardball, which would be I played football. A man coming with me at kind of rough kind of tackles. I'm not scared, but I developed a fear for the cricket ball. So after I played under 13 cricket for the academy, I never ventured to play cricket again. Wind ball cricket, yes, but not hardball cricket. But at the academy, the football skills went from strength to strength. Again, I got some training with my uncle, but from the age of about 12, 13, I went to Spartans practice in the afternoons when they practice in the technical wing. So, and I'm talking about from probably first form, second form, 76, 77. Day and night with my uncle and Scooby. I mean, before Scooby and Bull and the man joined Spartan, I'm talking about Desmond Jewers, Dashin, Cuthbert Williams, there was this guy Jeffrey Defoe, there was Happy, Gordon Mondes. I can call all the names for you because I played with these boys. Curtis, then Philip Osford, Gary Ed. I don't know if they remember these things, but I was there as a child following my uncle, and then I just kept on being a Spartanite. And from the age of 14, I was ready to play for Spartans, but my uncle would say, no, he is too small. The other players would say, South, the boy is ready to play. So that was my uncle's nickname. South, the boy. But he said, no, he's too small, leave him alone. But by the time I was 14 years old, I was ready to play football with the big players, But my uncle wasn't having none of that.
And then, as I was saying, that you were in St. George's House in St. Mary's Academy.
You and I,
yes. With Mervyn Joseph.
You
know, who himself was a
very
prolific good defender.
Wicked
defender.
Exceptional footballer.
Just imagine.
We had Francis Ole as well. He was bigger than us.
Defense.
He was bigger than us, but we played
defense,
with him.
Yes. And so you had Francis Ole in defense. You had Mervyn, captain of St. Mary's Academy. You had Melvin Didier.
I'm just trying to remember some of the people.
Yes.
There's one we used to call Siki Robin. Yeah, we used to call him Siki.
Yes. And in St. George's House.
And the house overseers was Mr. Lance and Mr. Sorrento.
Yes, more so Mr. Sorrento.
Mr. Lance,
Socorro used to be
the house master.
And every year, the only team that would want to give us the competition was St. Michael's. But would still destroy them.
But overall, we still used to be better than them, because we remember, the house champion didn't only depend on sports,
Academics,
but not just that too. Remember, we used to have to sell the raffles every Easter. And Christian Karam and myself was just dominate that.
Yes. The raffles.
Christian Karam, remember Christian Karam?
Yes, if I could.
Christian Karam and I would dominate the selling of the raffles.
Yes. So and you'll get plenty points for that.
Yes.
And
that made up a lot of points for the house.
You see every
week Monday you come in.
You see this tally, and St. George's will always be on top. You know. So that's our first line of sales. From school. But then also to Johnny. In the schoolyard every 2 o'clock.
But listen, Cecil, school finish at 1 o'clock, School finishes at 1 o'clock. I live on Virgin. By 1:15, I was back in the schoolyard playing. No word of a lie. By 1:40, I was back in the schoolyard playing. Yeah, and that's where I started playing the basketball as well. I played a lot of basketball, with Brother French. He was teaching me to play the basketball. Shooting hoops around the world. You played around the world as well, didn't you?
All of us in St. Mary's Academy had to play around the world.
Yeah,
and there was badminton,
shuffleboard,
tennis, shuffleboard.
There was everything there. Everything there. Yes. Shuffleboard, table tennis, volleyball. We played some lawn tennis there as well. Yes. Yeah. Some tennis.
We played lawn tennis in the
near where they put a new section.
Yes.
That used to be the volleyball on the tennis court. And there was this short piece called lady. Michelle.
Oh.
You remember
I
Michelle?
forget Michelle.
She was the one who taught us to play tennis.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we had Dave Cottingham.
Well, Dave was just a sports master and thing, yeah. But
Did
Michelle was just...
I ask for Dave Cottingham?
Huh?
Did I ask for Dave Cottingham?
Did you ask for him?
Yes, I asked if anyone knows
where he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be nice to hear what he's doing, if he's alive still.
Yes.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, Dave in our time wasn't easy.
Huh?
He was not easy.
No, well,
he was another Mr. Savre at
he was a good sports master,
very good guy.
But his bias was cricket though.
Yes, his bias was cricket.
His bias was cricket, yeah.
I remember when we went and played cricket in Soufriere one year. And
that's under 13.
Yes,
that was my last match.
And he saw this guy.
Leroy John Lewis.
And
he
immediately
right away.
Immediately John Lewis took about 8 wickets.
He wheezes
for less than 14 runs.
Yeah, man, he wheezes.
And the next day,
yeah.
Leroy John was in St. Mary's Academy.
Yeah, I remember that.
Until Leroy played for Dominica.
Yeah, man.
And the Windward Island.
Yeah, man. Leroy John Lewis. They caught Namford. What? That boy there.
That little boy.
My boy wheezes.
But everybody wicked the man did that.
He might wheezes. Seriously, he just run first. Yeah.
The man just run first. I will never forget that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I remember as well.
Yes,
Cecil,
and the next day, Leroy John Lewis was in St. Mary's Academy.
Yeah, man.
Yes, that was amazing.
Yeah, man.
And did well.
For him, the rest was history because he ended up playing for the Windward Islands. He was a really good spin bowler.
Leg spin bowler.
Yeah,
and this guy was amazing. You know, this guy was
amazing.
Man.
That's good. Yeah. I remember that. That was the last time I remember playing cricket for the SMA anyway. Yeah. That game, Leroy Weezers.
Yes. Yeah. No. Also, Johnny, talking about your football ability and football skills, you played for St. Mary's Academy. Like the two of us played for St. Mary's Academy, and playing for St. Mary's Academy, some of us branched off to Grammar Calamites. I think you did. Some of us went to Celtic, which I did.
Grammar Calamites primarily came about. You see, in 1982, we got selected for the Dominica under-19 youth team, and basically, in saying that was the worst youth team my uncle ever produced. Not that we were bad players, you know.
Too many skills?
Not just that. I think the generations before was much better than us. That's all it was. The generations before that. So from 1972, it was every 2 years. So 72, 74, 76, 78, 80, these squads were better than us. And you saying that we were good players?
Yes.
But these boys were much better than us.
Yeah.
Because they were all these squads reached at least the semi-finals, I think, of the tournament.
Yeah.
We didn't reach near that, you know what I mean?
Yes.
We
I
didn't
think Barbados beat us. Barbados beat us 3-1, you remember that, Johnny?
We beat them in Dominica and
went to Barbados. They beat them in Dominica and when we went to Barbados.
They beat us in Dominica.
We beat Trinidad. No, that was the Trinidad before. But Barbados beat us in Barbados. We beat them in Dominica 1.
And they beat us 3-1.
And they beat us 3-1 in Barbados. Yes, I remember that.
But the Grammar Calamites came about after that. Grammar Calamites was really formed in 1983. And I think Ozzy Savre had a key role to play in that as well. Because I think it was Irving Toots and probably some of the grammar school boys and probably myself as well. We decided maybe we should make our own football team. We were good enough at that time. We were young. We were all teenagers. We were all teenagers.
Yes.
And so we solicited Ozzy Savre to get us together, organize to get us together and have that meeting with us. And so, and he was the one who chose the name anyway, Grammar Calamites. That didn't come from us. I would credit Ozzy Savre as giving us that name, Grammar Calamites. And in our first season as Grammar Calamites, we reached the knockout cup finals. I think we came 4th in the league. But for the cup final, we actually played well enough to reach the knockout cup finals. I think we beat Harlem in the semi-finals, and we were playing Kensbury in that final. And after 20 minutes, we had Kensbury. We were 2-0 up on Kensbury. Remember, youngsters. The oldest person on that team at the time was Glennis Bland. He was just about turning 20 years old. Glennis Bland was one of our strikers.
He's here, you know.
Huh?
He's here.
Yeah, I saw him.
I saw him just last week.
Turning about 20 at
As a matter of fact, I think he's listening to the program tonight.
He probably should.
He is.
But he scored. I think he had scored both goals, or he scored the second goal.
And he was quick, like Irving Guy. He was very quick.
The Grammar School boys. We had some quick boys. We had Ian, we had him, and we had Irving Guy. They were freaky strikers. We also had Mickey Morrow and Kello Jackson as well.
Yes, and Kello Jackson, yes.
Kello Jackson, yeah,
Kelvin,
part of the
who
original.
live just right there in
he was part of the original team as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Chinese, the goalkeeper.
Chinese was the goalkeeper originally. Only for one season though he was the goalkeeper because after he went to play for Saints, I think. But when he won the league, Chinese wasn't part of the team.
Okay.
He went to Saints, I think. If my memory serves me right. And so now after we had Kensbro 2-0 up after 20 minutes, my man. Before the ball could center, some dog come from nowhere and sat down on the center circle, on the center mark, and would not move for about a good 10-15 minutes. Imagine, man kicked the dog, banged the ball on the dog, nothing was happening, the dog not moving, you know what I mean, it's not moving at all. And then all of a sudden, I reckon the referee was going to blow off the game, yeah? And all of a sudden the dog just get up and go, yeah, Cecil? And after that, you know what, we stopped on 8. A cup final, you know. Kent will come on and beat us 8-2. Anyway, Ma Flory, so Queen's mother, may also rest in peace, yeah? Jen and I worked at Survey Department at Bath Estate. So Ma Flory, Suki and Toots' mother would come and see us playing because we were her boys. Or grandmother, you know, because she was old enough to be our grandmother, yeah. The morning when we went to the office to Ma Flory's shop, Ma Flory said, Pamela, you stop, share watch you boy bazo. Pamela, you share watch you boy bazo. Don't worry that. And she was out every game we played religiously. And the next year we won the league. The next 84 we won the league. Yeah.
Let Pastor say good evening to you, caller.
Hey, good evening. This is Blah here, man.
Oh, Mr. Blah.
Gladys, give honor.
Yes.
Hey, man, Johnny.
Yes, my man.
Grab a cat of Mike.
The greatest ever, yeah, man.
Let me tell you something, right?
Teams were scared of us, man.
It was Kensbro did beat us 8, so I got the 2 goals, and it was you that passed both. You that made both passes. I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
But you know, Grammar, how it came. We all know it was a combination. I remember how this whole thing started. We went to we came to because we remember Irvin Auguste used to play for Celtic.
Yeah.
Mine used to play for a different team in the first division.
Mm-hmm.
So we came and we just said, you know what, let's make a team, right? Because we all play in the first division anyway. So Grammar School and Academy came together. But I went to we had there was Shiny, Austin, a lot of Irvin, Shiny. There was you, there was Glen Etienne, Labatia.
Jenna. There was Mervyn, Josie, Fletcher Libla.
Fletcher Libla was
Fletcher
there.
Libla, Malachi, we call, what's his name again? Ian Oliver.
Clint Roberts.
Clint Roberts, Roddy, Sponges. That was the midfield trio, Sponges, Roddy and myself. Sponges, Clint and myself.
Yeah, man.
And they were seriously good players, you know what I mean? And
before we started, we went to, I remember I went with Shiny, we went to see Ozzy Savre at grammar school one time. I was telling him what we was doing. And he said to us, we were talking about it, so we were working on his name, Madesh Grammar. And remember Madesh sponsored us, right? We all know.
Madesh sponsored us, yes, Pablo.
Sponsored us. And then we were talking about how we're going to come with the name. And we came up with Grammar Academy we had. And then Ozzy said to us, well, say something like Dynamite. And that's where the mic came from, from Dynamite. We're Dynamite. You see? But we got far. We won the league at one point. And but that match there that we played there, where we lost to Thingy Bob, I'll never forget that. We were buzzing.
There was some strange happening. Man.
You see, we were buzzing. It was. Even now, I walking on the street, and I hear people saying, "Come Academy." You remember that?
We brought a lot of joy to people, and the thing about it, like, we were youngsters, you know what I mean? Yeah. We were all children still, basically. We were kids, you know what I mean?
We were kids, man.
And we were competing with Harlem and Ken. Them things were scared of us, you know?
Yeah. And you have to remember, we played Harlem at the time. Harlem and Kensbro were the team you always expect to get to the final. Because they were the 2 top teams.
Yes, indeed, yeah.
And I remember when I sat down in Windsor Park, watching Harlem and Kensbro playing the semi-final to get to the final. And I thought to myself, look at that, boy. We reached here, look at that, the 2 teams that normally get to the final. Now they're playing against each other to get to the final, Because we had beat Coca-Cola Saints on penalties, the one before.
Mm-hmm.
You see, Larry had actually scored
scored one of the goals against Coca-Cola Saints. We took them to penalties.
You talking about Larry Toulon?
Yeah. I know it wasn't Larry. No, Larry joined us the next year.
Oh, he joined us the next year?
Larry wasn't on the original squad. No, he joined the next year. He was part of the winning team that won the league.
All right.
Yeah, he was still at school and pining, sitting on the wall pining, you know.
Well, Larry doing something.
He listening. He must be listening. He was sat by the wall in grammar school, pining, yes, and checking like, no, that night soon come. You know what I mean?
Larry was so slow.
Larry was so. But listen, Larry and I trained hard, boy. That year we trained hard. He was
a good midfielder, though.
Boy, Larry, listen. I never seen no youth man sweat like my boy. Believe me, I never seen anybody sweat like him. He used to sweat like a beast, man.
Big sweaty.
Huh?
Let me tell you something. Big sweaty boy.
Yeah, man, Larry. He used to sweat a lot, man. Larry and I used to do some pre-season training, yeah. And we used to run a back road. It's now a nice official road, back road by Goodwill, by Baffin there. We used to call it back road, innit?
That's right.
That's our training. We used to run that up backwards, my boy. Up like 5-6 times, you know, before we go in tech wing to train, you know.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And by the time we reach wins up technical wing, my boy fully soaked.
All good. But good to hear you guys, though.
Thank you, man. Yes.
Good to hear you guys.
Yeah, man. Glenn is Kitwana. Yeah, man.
And obviously the competition between grammar school and academy.
Henry, Johnny, I said to Blah this week that I remember playing 2 big games against grammar school, and we beat him. Both games. The first one we beat him 1-0. The second one we beat him 2-1. So he said he can't remember that.
Which means you must have played for the bigger boys. Which means at that time you must have played with the bigger boys, Cecil. I'll tell you why. Because in my 5 years at the academy, I knew our under 16s.
Yes.
When I say under 16s, I think Don Leogal, Leo Charles, Don Corriott, and them bigger boys.
Right. Ole.
Right.
And them would beat grammar school.
Yes.
But my cadre of players.
Let me just remind you. Let me just remind you. You remember the year that we played, and James Dominic came with his bell and the whole of grammar school. So you had Ian and myself on the forwards. You had Papa Head, that is Derek Paul.
6-1.
No, we won that year against, and you are in midfield with Jackson, yourself and Kelvin in Jackson in the midfield. Carl William was our goalkeeper.
Yeah. That I remember.
We beat them 1-0 that year. The next year, again we came back, and I'm sure if Mr. Salve is listening, he remind you that same team, I think it was your last year, we beat them 2-1.
Well, I
maybe prior.
It's possible. At the end of the day, to me, I always felt that in my time at the academy, I couldn't beat the grammar school.
Because I'll tell you why, Johnny. When we got beaten by the grammar school in the early days, we played at the grammar school ground.
Technical wing, they gave us a 6-1.
Right, they gave us a 6-1.
Yes, that I remember that. Vividly, yes.
As a matter of fact, I was actually the goalkeeper.
Okay, they gave us a 6-1.
I remember they gave us a 6-1.
Yeah.
Ole was in defense. Wadi Kole played that year.
Okay.
All right, they gave us 6-1 that year.
That's right.
And when we went, that time we were able to play for both first division and intermediate. All right.
Okay.
That's right.
And we that 2 last years we beat them at the Winter Park.
Okay. Maybe that time I was playing for Spartans then. I don't know.
I was playing for Spartans at that time too. Because remember we had the opportunity to play for more than one team.
Okay, yeah. You could play for your school and play for
you could play for the school and then play for.
Well, I must admit I don't remember much of that because I've always been under the impression that it was difficult for my group of players at the academy to beat grammar school. But you may be right.
Mervyn Joseph, who was our captain. Ole also played. I think it was Ole last year. I'm trying to remember if Leroy played himself.
We had Ian
Blanchard. Ian Blanchard. We had you in the midfield.
Kelo Jackson would be there as well.
Kelvin in the midfield.
Mickey Morrow.
Papa Head was defense midfield. Mickey Morrow also played midfield.
Would Fletcher Libra been
there? Fletcher Libra was in the team.
Fletcher
Libra just entered to St. Mary's Academy. So that year, that last year,
I remember the time that we beat the academy. I don't remember what the score was. And we came back the following time, and then you all beat us.
That's what you're talking about.
The last time that you beat us was at the grammar school grounds.
I remember Brother John. Brother John was either the headmaster or
Brother Jimin.
Brother Jermaine, and he came back and he came back when we won that match. He came back and asked for a rematch, but when you beat us, we decided not to go and ask for a rematch again and just leave it at that. I remember that.
If James Dominic is listening, he'll remind you.
But that's some good history there.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was the academy days of the football. Yeah.
Oh, telling you.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Thanks, Glennis. Yeah, man.
Right there.
All right.
Have a good evening, though.
All right. And Johnny, even during that period, as I said, that we had the opportunity to play for more than one team, our school, and
so I played for Spartans. We played for Spartans.
We could have played for free teams.
So Cecil, did you go to St. Kitts with Spartans then?
Well, of course.
Were you in St. Kitts too?
Yes, yourself, Jolo, Gordon, Lander.
My auntie Angela.
That Sentinel guy.
Black. Yes.
That Sentinel guy.
Dion. Black. Scared.
Yes. We went to St. Kitts. That must have been in 81.
December 81.
December
right,
81. Yes. Yeah. I was playing for Spartans at the time.
Yeah, December 81.
Jolo was our coach captain
and player coach. Yeah. And Jolo had just come out from Venezuela on some football training course.
Right. Yeah. So that's what happened. So we could have played
for your school and played for the team. That I remember.
So you could have played for intermediate and the first division. But for the same club. But you would have a number of games that you could have played.
If you pass a certain threshold, you cannot play intermediates anymore.
Right. So we had a lot of soccer ourselves, and in those days, when you played for the first division teams, it was an added bonus for your school. So you find all of the guys, especially the grammar school guys, all of them played for a team. Not all of our guys played for a team. So you find that Jackson, Kello, I don't think he played for Kensbro.
No, well, Kello played
for Harlem.
Must he not have gone out to play for Harlem? He ready to play for Harlem after Grammar Academites broke up. Or maybe he had left Dominica already.
Yeah, I think he had left Dominica.
But Kello played for Spartans. Mickey Morrow
played for
Mikey Eugene.
Yeah. Mikey Eugene was in the early days.
In Grammar Academites, Mikey Eugene was one of the originals as well.
So he was actually a link man, right?
Yes, a midfielder. I think I got pictures with Mikey over the original Grammar Academites, and I think Mikey's in it. Yeah.
So we really had some great days. We really had some real great days.
Telford, Shillingford.
Oh yes, Telford,
Shillingford.
Telford. Yeah. There was nothing flashy about Telford though.
No, but he was a solid defender when we needed him to play a role. He played a role. Yes. Sometimes he was in the goal.
Yes.
Sometimes in the goal he was there.
I didn't see anything in Telford. Renick Thomas is trying to get us. Good evening to you, Renick.
Yes, I didn't hear guys did mention of Champi. That's good to challenge your brother.
Shanti didn't play for Grammar. He had left Dominica already.
He was one of the dominant strikers.
Oh yes.
Shanti and me is the same story. We have the same story. You know what I mean? Shanti and I have the same story.
Shanti, Leslie Manuel, myself, the time we used to go to Rosa Boys School, we were really good strikers.
But Shanti and I had the same story when it comes to football, and pretty much the same background because it's virtually in Barfoot, isn't it?
Yeah. I'll tell you something. I can remember because I know for sure when in my years of SMA, grammar school never beat me. I know that.
Yeah.
It's a fact. On all this Saturday, they never beat me. Number two, I can remember when we were training for the SMA team. It was a second division team. Brother Jermaine, you came to practice, and Brother Jermaine told you, "You're too small." Brother Jermaine told you, "You're too small. Your turn will come. Just relax."
You remember that?
Yeah, that's what I felt inside.
But I was good enough to play one night.
You were too small.
Imagine. Let me give you a joke. Yeah, as I said that there. I remember making the SMA basketball team. I probably was about second form or third form. The bigger boys didn't take part that year. I do not know why. For some reason, the upperclassmen, that what German call the upperclassmen, didn't take part in the training to make the team, and so I was selected to make the team. So they gave me a vest to wear, my boy.
Bigger than you.
But imagine, my boy, the vest reached all the way past my knee. I had to curl it back up and curl it back down, and then put on my shorts.
Remember, we the outfits that we wore, it was Brogodo, you know, those things came
from New York.
So
they were hand-me-downs from my brother Jimmy was a teacher before, wasn't it? Yeah. Iona College or wherever they were. Yeah.
Iona College, yeah. And the striking thing about that, bro, when you have that thing on you, felt like you were...
You're proud. You're proud.
You were like, yeah.
You're proud of when you put on the vest, yeah, or the jersey, yeah. You were proud, yeah.
Well, let me ask you, you made mention of a guy named Spice.
Yeah, but you remember Spice?
Is he alive or dead?
No, he's alive. I saw him not long ago. He's alive and kicking. Yeah, I saw Spice, man. Yeah, man. Spice around. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Because I know Spice when I